right, players, welcome to the Player Circle, and this is our 2025 edition of the Oz the Wiz podcast. Yes, as I've mentioned before, we'll vote on a name, and we will we'll decide what's an appropriate name going forward. Look, I like Oz the Wiz, but I think we need to come up with a name that's going to be a little bit more specific to this show. But yeah, let's see how that goes. But guys, welcome. Glad to have you guys joining me here today. So today we're just going to be, oh yes, before we even go any further, Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to 2026. Hopefully this year is a little bit more eventful than last year. Rachie, welcome. Glad to have you. It's been a minute. I think I missed you guys last weekend. You know how it is on Christmas. you know how Christmas weekends typically are. Family shows up and all plans go out the window. But yeah, glad to have you with us, Rachie. Welcome. Always a pleasure to have you as part of the conversation. And as I mentioned, today we're going to be focusing specifically on all the awesome stuff that we're supposed to be looking forward to in 2026. And one of those things, I think, like the biggest one out the gate, and we're going to spend quite a considerable amount of time talking about it, is probably going to be GTA 6. So, guys, if this is your first time here, like and subscribe. Thank you for joining. Just a quick sound check. Rachie, is everything good with my sound? Just want to make sure, because I know that last week we had an issue where, like, I think for about 2 minutes, my sound was a little bit wobbly. Cool. So, Chad, let me know if everything is cool, if the sound is, is good. I think the camera is good. And yeah, I think we're pretty much good to go. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Rachie. So the first topic for today is what have I been up to? So in terms of what I've been up to, so one of the things I got to do that was actually quite, to me, I was like so happy I got to finish this, was I got to actually complete Stellar Blade. And yeah, what an experience. I don't know how many of you in the chat have actually finished Stellar Blade. Whew, what an experience. Look, I have a problem with when it comes to Souls-like games with one particular thing, and that is probably just like how sometimes it feels like it's a little bit drawn out towards the end. So that's what I got to do. I got to finish Stellar Blade, and I got to and I don't know if it has multiple ending, but I got to face the final boss, wrap that up, and move on to the next thing. But I'll say this about the game. Very, very old school, a lot of the elements in the game are very Souls-like, but it's one of the most enjoyable sort of like whimsical action adventures I've played in a minute. And yeah, man, I would highly recommend it. It's probably going to go on the list. I know it's a year late, but it'll go on the list as my game of the year for 2025. That's the game I probably played the most. Oh, of course, Clear Expedition, Clear Obscure Expedition 33 is on that list. Welcome, Tai.
Hey, what's poppin', boys?
I'm all good. Glad to have you on board. So I was just taking everyone through what I've been up to.
Mm-hmm.
So one of those things is I finally finished Stellar Blade, 75 hours. That's the most I think I've spent on a game, I suppose, since Mortal Kombat, in a minute. Tai, did you ever touch, actually, we've spoken about Stellar Blade before, but I don't know if you've ever actually even touched the game.
I'm not really a fan of Guno games, bruh. Not my style.
Oh my god.
Nah, I'm
Is
joking
that
with
how
you.
you want to start 2026?
I'm joking with you. A little bit of spice here and there didn't hurt anybody. But Stellar Blade is a game that my first question to a lot of people was, is it as good as Bayonetta? Right? Because that's like, to me, that's a template of action-packed games. And a lot of feedback that I kind of got, because a lot of these guys didn't actually play Stellar Blade as much, one or two did, was that, no, it's not as good. Then the next question was, well, how's the story? And the story was meh as well. So to me, I feel Stellar Blade was, by specific group of people, was kind of glazed over too much. And I think it was glazed.
No.
Here's what I always say, yeah. If you can take a game and you can replace the let's say the animation, the animation style with a different kind of game, generally, not all the time, would
Yeah.
the same people rate it as high? And what I've found with the Stellar Blade community is that, like, there's people out there who love the game, they like enjoy the game for what it is, and people out there who like it for the anime style. But there's a few people out there who it seems like the unique selling point is Eve, the character herself. I don't know if that really does it well for me. But anyways, hold on, I need to go out for like 3 minutes. I'll be back.
Okay.
I'll finish up on Stellar Blade. Just give me 3 minutes.
Okay. All right. No problem. We'll see you in a bit. So Rachel says, I've only played the demo, very optimized game. Everyone should learn from Shift Up. Absolutely. Because I think that's one thing that a lot of people miss, Rachel, is the fact that the game, this was Shift Up's actual first console game. This was their first game that they put out that was a fully fledged, what you would call a AAA title. And I won't say I won't lie, like in terms of like Entire said something important here, and then he mentioned the fact that it gets compared to Bayonetta a lot. I don't necessarily think that's a fair comparison. Look, I've played Bayonetta, it's not my cup of tea. There's just way too much over the top stuff that's happening that I think distracts from the actual core gameplay. But I'll say this, Stellar Blade addresses all the issues or everything that is wrong or everything that's a shortcoming when it comes to games like games that are like typically like associated with Gunas. They address a lot of that stuff when it comes to the gameplay. Gameplay is pretty solid. Graphics are impeccable. Excuse me. The only weak point when it comes to Stellar Blade is the story. There's so many issues with the story in terms of you get lost and you might even lose interest. I don't know how you felt about the story, Rachie. Maybe, give me your feedback in terms of like what were some of the things that stood out for you. But like for me personally, the story was non-eventful. It was all the stuff in between, the gameplay, the beautiful character animation. It's not just Eve. Every single character is beautifully animated, detailed. You could tell that there's a lot of care that went into it. Yeah, man. So generally, I really, really loved the game. If I had to actually give it a review, gameplay wise, I would say I give it a 8.5 out of 10. And that's because of the fact that like some of the levels did feel a little bit repetitive, but the actual mechanics pretty spot on for this type of game. The only other thing that I would complain about in terms of gameplay is that I was just in terms of like the leveling, in terms of unlocking skills, I was just unlocking things. I didn't even know how, it affected the actual overall gameplay. Because when I just got into the battle, I just knew, the default 3 buttons I use, or the default 3 commands that I use, which is, for specials, for like a heavy attack, a light attack. Once I understood those, I sort of figured that out. A lot of the upgrades did not do anything for me. I did not see the impact in combat, which is why I think it took me so long to finish the game. Aside from that, the gameplay is very solid. It's probably one of the best parts of the game. So Reichi says something interesting about the Kuna action game is that you don't really have time to goon mid-action. 100%, like the game is so gripping in terms of the moment-to-moment action. You don't really have time to think about the character. Unless you start to get stuck in certain areas. But that's another thing. I love the attention to detail when it comes to the different costumes that Eve has. We're looking at Bayonetta right now, and the I forgot the multiplayer game, what this is called, but like she only has this costume. I think there's like 1 or 2 other costumes. I know that in the Nintendo version, I think it's Bayonetta 3, she has more costumes and stuff, but they put so much attention to detail to making sure that the costumes are on point. Especially for fan service purposes. But she's not the only fan service character that there is. I mean, like even the other guy, Adam. If you're a chick and you like these type of games, that's a fan service character there for you. So there's a lot of that in that game. So I would give the gameplay 8.5. The graphics definitely a 9. Story, yes, like story is like something like a 6, like a 5 or a 6. The story is dead average. There's nothing to write home about. In fact, it's more confusing and convoluted than it is actually interesting. If you are a fan of this type of thing, where you have mecha girls or robot girls versus demons or monsters. The one thing that people don't talk about when it comes to Stellar Blade is the fact that it has a lot of horror elements and elements that really turn it into almost like a Resident Evil type experience. I hope they flesh those out in the sequel. Rachie says Taki is way better. You know, I finished the game, Rachie. Maybe you can let me know. Can I play as Taki? Because I would love to change. I like Eve. I think she's pleasant enough. She doesn't irritate or annoy me. But is there an option to play as Taki? Because that would be awesome. I would love to play as Taki. That was sick. So the other thing I've been doing, aside from playing or finishing Stellar Blade, I've also, again, still busy with Cyberpunk with mods, as well as Mass Effect with mods. I'm hoping to finish. This is my last week end off. I'm hoping to finish those games. The other thing is I've been doing a little bit of a deep dive because I almost bought Final Fantasy.
I'm back.
8. Sorry, Final Fantasy 7. Is it Remake and then Rebirth? I almost bought those games, but then I went on a little bit of a rabbit hole. Welcome back, Ty. I went on a little bit of a rabbit hole to sort of find out, like, why is this game hated so much by hardcore fans? And I unlocked a whole bunch of, like, when it comes to insights, when it comes to it specifically being compared to Expedition 33. And we've touched on this conversation before, but Ty, that's one of the things that before we even get into the rest of the show, I would love to get your thoughts on is, have you seen these comparisons between the Final Fantasy 7 remakes versus, say, Claire Obscure Expedition 33?
No, I haven't.
I'll get the channel. There's a guy that he just specializes in doing that. Brilliant guy, old school. His entire channel is just dedicated to Final Fantasy, so he is one of the OG Final Fantasy fans. I believe his name is Sebi Webbs. Really awesome guy. He's been trending a couple of times because of his criticism of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Remake. But I would like to just get your opinion on that a little bit later on. So yes, please finish your thoughts on Stellar Blade.
Yeah, so it's one of those ones where anyone who was saying this game was Game of the Year, I think you're always gonna have people who are fans who like these kind of things. But I know there's a lot of glazing from Guna-like guys or girls, and so as much as I think
Really?
Stellar Blade is a good game, yeah, there's a bit too much of that going on. Because when people were like, "Oh, Game of the Year," I was like, "Stellar Blade Game of the Year." I was like, "Okay," because I'll say this: if you replace Club Obscure's arts direction, keep the story, keep the gameplay, keep the music, and you replace Club Obscure's art direction with maybe something that's more Final Fantasy like or whatever it is, I think you still get a Game of the Year. I think you do that with Baldur's Gate. Maybe you make Baldur's Gate a little bit more, you change your art style a little bit to maybe something that's a little bit more maybe JRPG-ish. I think you still get Game of the Year. The problem is when I look at Stellar Blade, some of these people who are like, yeah, Stellar Blade. Replace their art style, change the gender. I think they will give it Game of the Year. So I think that's why I started to realize, some of these people are just talking shit.
You really think that? Like, go play the demo and then we can have the conversation. I hear where you're coming from.
No, I'm saying Game of the Year. I'm not saying the game still wouldn't be good.
Oh, no.
I'm saying that, Game of the Year. I think that's what it's going to be.
Like, look, it's the only reason it's Game of the Year for me is because I'm very specific in terms of the type of games I like. And you might say some of them fall into that Guna segment because I'll tell you something. This is the one thing that a lot of people never talk about is that as long as Guna game, how many Guna games can you think of that are AAA games? Ty? Just list a couple for me.
AAA, huh?
Interesting.
No, maybe Nier Automata would have been one, right?
Yes, but like, look at how deep that game is because it really sort of like delves a little bit further than I would say Stellar Blade in terms of story and how well written it is. But that's one, and then the other one would be like Bayonetta, right?
Bayonetta is one of them as well, yeah.
So it's not really like there's a lot of these games out there, especially the ones that are highly regarded and highly rated. So I always say to people that like it's a very niche genre
Marvel
and it's
Rivals.
very rare. Yeah, but Marvel Rivals are multiplayer games, and multiplayer games like the First Descendant, they do that whole thing of Guna bait more, and like what are the other ones by? Is it Hoyo?
Choreographer, so Genshin Impact, maybe
Yes. So
Tekken
there's
to
a
an
lot of that
extent.
there.
Would you say Mortal Kombat is Gunnar?
Not anymore. It used to be.
Okay. Okay.
I would
Fair
say
enough.
during like the PlayStation 1,
Mhm.
PlayStation 2 days, yes.
Mhm.
Up until late PlayStation or early PlayStation 3, there was a lot of, the cleavage was the thing. That was the focus. And, the parts were not anymore. Now it's a very conservative game. Everybody's conservatively and respectively dressed. The characters, the female characters are taken more seriously. You will never get a Mortal Kombat character that is dressed like this, for instance, like my Eve in this
Mhm.
playthrough. Yeah.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
they're very rare. So my point being is that this is not typical for a game to be good and also a single player game and also a triple A game that is highly regarded by fans.
Mhm.
It's very rare to make a single player Guna game that's at that level. That's all I'm saying basically. Like, yeah,
Yeah, so
that's
I-
focused
I'll
mostly on the physics.
I'll agree there. Yeah, I'll agree. But even with that, I think what we're already just seeing is, and this is such an off-topic point now, but I think what we're already seeing is we're seeing that a lot of these developers who are making these games in general, they come from a wider range than they weren't your typical, teenage boy who was interested in Gunnar. They're more artists. So for them, they probably grew up on games like Final Fantasy. They probably grew up on games like, to some extent, Red Dead Redemption 1, Max Payne. Like they were more playing these games that are more artistic as opposed to like, your Tomb Raider games. Like, listen, I played Tomb Raider when I
Yeah.
was a kid. I didn't even think that game was that good, right? So when you do a game like Tomb Raider, but then you go play a platform game like maybe Rayman, maybe Crash Bandicoot, because I remember like me and my family were playing Crash Bandicoot. We weren't playing Tomb Raider. So if I've been influenced by Crash Bandicoot, Rayman, Jack and Daxter, Tomb Raider Guna materials are gonna pop into my mind. So I think that's
Yeah.
what we're really seeing here. That's why I would say we get less Guna game AAA Guna games.
Yeah. No. But like I mean, like in
Even the
Japan,
guys who make Club Scare, when you ask them like, "Yo, what games did you play when they were a kid?" It's all JRPG games. You know what I mean? It's all JRPG,
yeah.
RPG games and shit like that.
Yeah, but like those were borderline Guna games back in the day. They had a lot of like, especially the PS2 era, they had a
Mhm.
lot of elements that were like very baity, the same way that uh, Stellar Blade is.
True, but
But
I think
overall, it's a
the
good game.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I get you.
No, what I was gonna say is that like, but ask me this question: would I spend 70 hours, 75 hours playing this game if I had to play a male character?
Would you?
And the answer is a hell no. Hell
This is
no.
my point.
Like I would not spend 70 hours. Like it can get very grindy. And like the reason you grind is for these awesome outfits that you end up getting for. I would not grind that long, dude, if this was for like a male character for this type of game. It's the same reason I've never finished like your Elden Rings and stuff, because the gear is just not that cool enough for me to grind 70 hours, 75 hours on a Souls like game. I'm just not that guy.
No, I agree. I think that was my point. You can tell a game is
Mm.
true game of the year material if you change certain aspects of it, but the core still
Yes.
remains. You will still pick the game up. Like Astro Bot is still a dope game, whatever. And I'm not saying
Yes.
art doesn't matter. It does matter, but I think as Nintendo will always say, the core gameplay loop is what matters the most. If the game is fun, the game is fun.
Correct. I completely agree with you on that. But like one of the things like I wanted to talk to you about, or just I wanted us to get to is, have you heard any of this chatter? Like, there's been a lot of comparisons between the hardcore fans, and this is before
Mhm.
we'll get to GTA. GTA is probably going to monopolize most of today's conversation. But have you seen a lot of this conversation between fans of the original or the traditional Final Fantasy games versus say like a Clear Expedition 33, and the
No, I
fact
actually
that
haven't.
like the so I'll just give you a bit of background. There's a guy that I follow. I mentioned him a little bit earlier. His name is Sebi Webbs. So he's a very old school Final Fantasy gamer. He's very much into the traditional Final Fantasy games from the PS1 era. And he's one of his favorites, if it's not his favorite, is Final Fantasy 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he actually, if you go to his channel, he actually does side by sides where he compares the original blocky old Final Fantasy against this new high res one. And the high res one falls apart at every single aspect when it comes to story, in terms of how serious the narrative is. The original Final Fantasy is closer to Expedition 33 in terms of writing versus, say, what you get currently now in this new popified modern audience version of Final Fantasy 7, which is Remake and Rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard any of that? Have you seen any of those sort of comparisons?
It's my first
I'll
time
link his stuff.
hearing
I'll link his stuff at the bottom so you can go check it out. I think
Yeah,
it's
put it in the
such
chat.
an interesting conversation. But like it just talks to something, Taya, that we've discussed previously, which is the writing in games. Actually, I've never asked you this question. I've had this conversation with Luke. Do you think the writing in games is getting stronger or weaker?
Oof. It feels like I might be speaking complete nonsense here, but there might be an element of errors. I think we have a lot more to. Okay, let me rephrase that. I think the writing is stronger, but
You reckon?
yes, and I feel like maybe I'm speaking too soon, but I at least from an argument point of view, then let's play with that. I would say the writing is stronger.
Okay.
I think what we're seeing here is that we're seeing that there's failure points and they're a lot more glaring because we have a higher standard that we did before, maybe even in the past. So, for example, I would say that now what we do from a writing perspective is we don't just write simple dialogue and characters and have a good guy and a bad guy. What we're actually doing now is we're giving these characters way more dialogue. I believe Bethesda said Fallout 4 had thousands of more dialogue than Skyrim, and Starfield has like, what is it, 50,000 more words or whatever it is. And I think because there's so many more failure points to happen. You're writing not just one main story, you're now writing 30 potential side storylines. You're trying to say, okay, if this was to happen here, how do we make this affect the main story or this other side character, etc., etc. You're getting more companions that are more fleshed out. So now I think there's just more potential pitfalls that we're seeing. I think that's probably what we're really getting to. Like The Witcher, for example, right?
I like what you're saying because like I want you to actually give me. I'm glad that you brought up The Witcher because I want you to commit to an example. Like for instance, give me just like for instance, like this guy makes a very simple like let me give you just a just a basic. So he makes an example between the original version, the PlayStation 1 version, and how serious in terms of themes that game was. The original version of Final Fantasy 7, and he says,
do you want to play it?
Huh?
Or do you want to play it? Do you want to play it now, or do you want to play it a different time?
You mean the guy's video?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to queue it up. So
okay, sure.
Maybe when we're busy with the segment, I'll queue it up for you, so you can just we can just get into that. But like he really gets into a lot of detail. Let me just search for him. But okay, cool. I hear you. But give me some examples while I search for this guy's page.
I would say, for example, maybe Baldur's. I haven't played it yet, but I'm just gonna go off this. I say Baldur's Gate 3. Would you say, is the writing in Baldur's Gate 3 better than the writing in let's say in Divinity Original Sin 2? Is it better than even Dragon Age to some extent, right? Some of the old school stuff. Another example I would even think about is Cyberpunk. The CD Projekt Red improved from a writing perspective in Cyberpunk that it did in The Witcher 3 and 2. I think that's a very good, maybe a shout out there as well.
Yeah.
What other games like from software? They're writing on how they string together these points of contact, the story, the lore. Has that improved? And I remember they're doing this from an open world perspective. There's a whole lot more going on in these games, right? So it's not another like important point. I look at a game like Stellar Blade, and maybe a part of me says the writing in Stellar Blade was what we were accustomed to back in those days. And we loved it and we enjoyed it because we had a low quality for writing. But now
You think that's true?
Yeah, let's debate.
Like, I mean, like, jeez, like, I can give you examples of games that changed the way I view games, like Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy VII is one of those games, Chrono Trigger. These were games, dude, like they were literally using duct tape and and like pieces of cardboard to construct entire worlds that you believed in because the writing was so good and the graphics were so crap. Like, it's very rare for me to find those experiences now. That, and again, you can say it's nostalgia, but I'll say just in terms of writing, I just feel that, like, after a certain point, let's say the 2010s, the writing started to get weaker. So that because people were trying to position single player games more towards a more mainstream audience. Even Mass Effect is a good example of that as well.
Yeah, but you see, even like, I guess my question to you is like, do you think Mass Effect 2's writing was better than Mass Effect 3?
Yes, but Mass Effect 1 is better than Mass Effect 2.
But then here's what I would say. I would say Mass Effect 3 had more going on. I think with Mass Effect 3, you're now dealing with the genophage question. You're now dealing with, does this unit have a soul question? There's more emotional beats within those points, right? So you have way more dialogue. You have the world building. And I think all these things distracts away from what we're actually back in the days, it was just very simple. It was A to B, right? Like maybe Stellar Blade, garbage writing, whatever it is, just talk, whatever, back and forth. But when you have a huge open world game with dynamic characters like a cyberpunk, the writers of Stellar Blade could come nowhere close to what Cyberpunk is doing. And I even think probably the writers of back in those days, there's just so much more to do. There's so much more to interconnect. And when there's a hole or a gap, we notice it a whole lot more because our standards, I believe, has increased. I guess another way, like, you played Death Stranding 2, right? Death Stranding 1 and 2?
No, I played 1. I played the first one.
Does it have good writing?
It has Kojima writing. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, Kojima writing is very subjective, whether you think it's good or not. It's very Japanese. It's very anime-like. If you're not into that type of stuff, you want to take your narrative seriously, you're not going to be into that. There's too many weird, quirky things that that Kojima does when he writes a story versus, like, for instance, rest in peace to this guy, like, is it Vince Zampella? When he writes a Modern Warfare, he's like, I always say this about Call of Duty. Call of Duty has solid stories for what it is, and those experiences are solid. You get your money's worth if you have a Zampella making a Call of Duty game. And in fact, I'll go as far as saying they're more palatable than, like, a Kojima story. A Kojima story has just too many things that are going on there for the normal person to sort of, like, jump onto it.
Yep.
So that my answer is, it's Kojima is very art house. It's very, very, taste oriented. Whereas a Modern Warfare campaign or a Black Ops campaign, not counting this year's one, is very palatable to the normal person because it tells the story the way we expect from a Hollywood picture or from a series that we watch on Netflix.
Okay. Let me change up a little bit. Let me ask you a question then. Let's go by publisher or maybe even by studio. What do you think is CD Projekt Red's best writing, from what you know, even regardless if you play the game or not? Which game would you say people would say, yeah, this is their best writing?
CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
Hands down, has to be Cyberpunk, dude. Like, I've never. It's my game of the generation. I've played it more than any other game. And narrative wise, it hits all the beats that you would expect from a BioWare Mass Effect game.
Okay, so I would say there then. So basically, what we're saying that for CDPR anyway, their best writing is their most recent game, so not a game from the past.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
let's do. Maybe you haven't played the Sega games, right? Cap, you haven't played
No, I've played Persona.
Okay, you play Persona.
I've played 4 and 5.
Let's do.
Yeah, I've not
Okay,
played
the
other one that you played.
Okay, for me, I think Persona 5 is like one of the best writings. You haven't played all the games. I think Persona 5.
Persona 5 though. So
I think
it would not be fair for me. I played 3 and 4 very extensively, and narratively they take themselves a little bit more seriously than recent Square Enix RPGs, but they still have that Japanese quirkiness with balloon head characters that you have to take seriously. But I mean, I suppose you can say the same thing about Clay Expedition.
Okay, fair enough. Let's do Far Cry. Have you played the Far Cry games?
Yes, almost all of them. Okay. I own all of them.
Which one would you say is their best writing, or at least top 2?
Number 1, hands down, has to be Far Cry 3 because of the villain Vaz. Super well written, one of the most complex characters at the time when they wrote that game. And then
is Vaz the brown skin guy?
Yes, he's like the Latin terrorist that they find.
So that was 2018, 2017?
2015.
Really? Far Cry, which one was it?
Far Cry 3, 2015, yeah. 2020, it's 2014, 2015, I think, yeah.
Oh no, that's actually 2012.
Yes, yeah, that makes more sense. It's
okay,
quite
2012. Okay, cool. Okay,
it's quite at the back there, yeah.
So we can say Ubisoft fallen off a little bit. What about Assassin's Creed?
Okay, so again, I own all the Assassin's Creed games in my library, but I've probably played a third of them. And sorry, I've probably finished a third of them. Assassin's Creed 3, I think I've said this to you, that I think, and this is what's going to kill your example, I think the Mythology trilogy was the best. So my favorite is going to be the, what is it?
Ezio.
I liked Origins, Odyssey is my favorite, and then Valhalla I also really, really enjoyed. I'm still playing Valhalla still this day. Yeah.
So you wouldn't say
and the writing isn't great in those games. I'll say this: the writing is not. It's not going to be very satisfactory for you to finish that game because you want to play it for the story. The story is not amazing. I would give it a 6.5 for all 3 of those games.
I would say I wouldn't pick Ezio's trilogy because I think it there's too much going on there, because you have the first game, second game, and third game. So I think they'll kind of play well with each other. So I don't think it's fair. But I would say probably Black Flag and probably Origins to me as standouts. Origins is quite recent. Black Flag is not as recent. It's quite old actually. But I think Origins is a decent shout out from a story perspective. I actually think Origins is one of the best stories, to be honest with you, excluding the Ezio trilogy. But I do get what you're trying to say, because we can keep playing this game back and forth. Like BioWare, for example, right? Well, what's their best story in your opinion? Their best writing?
Best writing for BioWare it has to be Mass Effect 2. I think that's where they keep going back to. That's their finest hour. It's because it's the perfect. No, not writing wise. Writing wise, it has to be either Knights of the Old Republic or the first Mass Effect.
Okay.
And I can even go as far as saying maybe I'll toss out Knights of the Old Republic and say Dragon Age 1, the original Dragon Age, and Mass Effect 1.
Okay, know what? I think if you play this game, I think you're probably gonna end up with way more points that the writing was a little bit more in the past than it is now. So I would actually agree there. I will say that I do think so. I think maybe I can agree with you there. I will say it's just been diluted a little bit, just simply because there's a lot more going on with the stories. If all these developers had to work on a single player campaign story, I think you get better writing. So I guess one way I will look at it is if Claire Obscure Expedition 33 had to include 40 side stories, with an extra 40 different characters and different maps and interconnected story points that has you making decisions, would the original story be as impactful as it is now? I don't know. I don't think so. I think they would have diluted the actual core story, and you would have seen less quality.
Welcome, Cass. Always a pleasure to have you, and happy New Year to you too. I haven't checked out your stream in a while. I'll definitely check you out next weekend. But glad to see that you're feeling better. How's the health? I know you're under you had like a little bit of a rough December or a rough holiday season. I hope you're feeling better and you're all in good health. But I saw that you're back up in the channel. I'll come check you out. Always a pleasure to have you. Okay, but let's hear what this guy has to say, Taye, because I think he will make this point much better than I do in terms of like what I mean by, and I'm not saying it's better or let me because I did make a statement to say that the quality, I commented specifically on quality. Maybe the better way to say it is that no, but I don't think so. I was gonna say that people's tastes to some degree have changed, but I still think that for most people, they still look for the same things when it comes to good story. And again, I think this is going to make a nice segue when we get into GTA, because Rockstar is the one developer that's consistently upped their game when it comes to production values and storytelling. Every Rockstar story feels closer to a Hollywood production than the previous one. And some of them are even surpassing it. A lot of people would say that Red Dead Redemption 2 is the best Western ever made.
I was actually going to include Red Dead Redemption 2 into my take-two into my best writing, but let's move on from that.
Yeah. No, I think we can all agree there. Okay, cool. Let's see what this guy has to say. Guys, go check this guy's channel out. There's his ad, and yeah, man, like I thought he really had some very, very good points. So let me play this.
I wouldn't dislike Remake or Rebirth's combat system nearly as much if they just didn't f*** up the story. But when every fight just ends with another ruined cutscene, another butcher character, what's the point? How they f*** up the story? Let me give you an example. You go into a bar in Junon and you find Turks. You find like Rude. He's like the head of the CIA basically in that world.
There's an echo, by the way.
And here's him chilling out.
Sorry?
There's a bit of an echo, by the way. So I think it's
this guy.
Not bad.
Looks like something's going on outside.
Oh, you're saying there's an echo?
Yeah, it's not that bad though, but like, yeah, there's an echo.
Okay, I'm not sure why. But okay, cool. If it persists, let me know. If it's bad.
But too smashed to do anything. Oh man, my head's burning up. You two? Then take your mask off and come here. That's the rule. Right. So, very bunch of sus blokes in a seedy old bar with that music, with that vibe. Now, if you were to remake that scene in this day and age, what do you think that the result would look like? Because according to Square Enix, it would look and sound exactly like this.
This your first time? If you want to drink with us, you're gonna have to lose the helmets. No scout, no service.
Fucking dog shit. This is a fucking children's game. This is like some stupid PG anime. Anyone who says that the vibe of Rebirth is the same as the OG is lying through their fucking teeth. No, it's not. Of course it's not. And you know what? I would respect people who are just, I would respect them more if they said, look, I know it's different, but I like it more. I respect that. Don't let me take that away from you. But those who say that this is the same.
Okay. So you can already get what like I'm going with here in terms of like just like the seriousness of the tone of the game. I mean, that was like again, like if Final Fantasy VII is a very very serious game in tone, the original one. But the way that they framed things in this new one, everything is much more lighthearted, very PG, not even PG-13. I will say for all audiences. Versus the first one, the themes were much darker. They were definitely way over PG-13 in terms of like how everything was sort of positioned, the characters, their personalities, how the actual scenes played out. Does it make sense so far?
Yes, it does. That is a change. I'm actually looking up something right now. Who directed both games? That's what I'm interested in.
So I can tell you this. So the original one was Hironobu Sakaguchi.
Yeah. He
was the executive producer. He was the guy, right? Mm-hmm. Then he's one of his proteges. He's the same guy that's responsible for most Square games, especially the later Final Fantasy games and the Kingdom Hearts games. I forget his name.
No, I see right here. Tetsuya,
the character designer.
Yeah, so Tetsuya Nomura was the director.
Nomura. Yeah, that's the guy.
But he's
the guy that. Yeah.
Go on.
So he's the guy that was the understudy. Basically, he was mainly responsible for character design, some of the story writing, but like in the original 1997 game. He then, of course, later on, when Sakaguchi left, he became a much bigger player at Square Enix. Now he's almost involved in all their games in terms of writing. Glad to see that you're healthy, Cass, and you're back up. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just looking at it to make sure I could see why there was a change.
So let me just finish.
Same as the OG. Like, how can you lie? How can you sleep at night? It's funny. It's funny. But you know what else? You know what else is funny? Luke Skywalker throwing his lightsaber into the ocean, telling Rey to fuck off, and then sucking from a green alien cow's teats like this. That looks hilarious. It's also a fucking character assassination. It's bullshit. Comparison is the thief of joy? No. You asked for this, mate. You tried your rebirth defense gaslights against me, and that's not going to work, mate. Ho ho ho! It's starting to light the note. Goodbye! I think that's what Sang sounds like.
But this is another scene.
So it's got that antsy, dangerous music. Like, oh damn, shit's really urgent, shit's really bad. We gotta sort out whatever this is right now. Yo, we can use this wire to get out. Ew gosh, I'm Tifa, my bobs. Hey, hop up here. Now, what I'm about to tell you to do, pay attention to the use of music, pay attention to the use of imagery, and just assess it on those values, all right? Let's go. Music fades, silence. Even the cameraman dies. Silence, horror, screams.
Again, just one thing I want to highlight, what he's basically pointing out, like, look at how much they're doing with so little. Mm-hmm. Now, he's going to make a comparison soon to the new game with all the production values, all the budget.
The opera music. All right, let's see how FF7 Remake improved that scene. Remember, I'm not saying the graphics are better. They're not. These are better graphics. We're talking about art. We're talking about cinematography, use of music. We're talking about imagery.
Tifa.
Here we go. All right, let's see how they improve upon that scene. Go on, where's the... Music is still playing the whole time. Generic action music. Oh. Yes, that'll take care of those pesky avalanche. Like, notice in the original it didn't show President Shinra's face. It's kind of eerie that you don't know his expression while all this is happening. But here, yes, and I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for your pesky avalanche. It's just like, I don't know, robs a bit of the mystery. And then, look what happens next. What the fuck are you doing here? You stupid cat bastard! What is he doing in this scene? You're not supposed to be here yet! Now the problem is, now all memes aside, whether you're new or whether you're an OG fan, this edition of Cat Sith pulls you out of the scene and breaks the immersion. Because if you're new to the series, you're like, what the fuck is that? And it pulls you out of the scene. And if you're an OG, you're like, what the fuck is he doing here? Pulls you out of the scene. It ruins the scene whether you are new or old. All right, let's go. Generic music.
But just to the point that he's making, can you see the difference in tonality between the two?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I can.
Like
I think a lot, like honestly, I think a lot of things changes when you add the right music. Because I think the music, you're right, it's a bit action orientated. They could have made it darker. However, I don't think the cinematography is like necessarily bad. I don't think it's bad at all. Actually, I think it's good. I think the cat being there, I don't know how that spoils it because the cat shows up and and even
but like at this point in time. So let me just give you some background. So at this point in time in the game, you've not seen any extraordinary, funny-looking animatronic. What do they call them? Is
Animals.
it anima? Yes, like there's no animal-human things. You've just interacted with humans. You're a rebel. You're part. Your first mission is to commit a terrorist act with Avalanche, which is what the explosion is. Everything goes wrong when you guys try and trigger the bomb to do that. So everything is serious. Everything at this point in time in the game there's nothing that's lighthearted. Everything is very heavy in themes. And what's happening here is that you lose a lot of your team because of the fact that the job is foiled. A lot of them die.
Yeah.
And the original sort of sets that tone. For instance, when he talks about the fact that the music goes dead and it's silent, the original sort of sets that tone versus this one here. This doesn't communicate tragedy.
No, I would agree. I think when it comes to the cats popping up, though, I wonder if this is a Western thing. Maybe in Japan, the idea of a cat showing up or an animal is normal to them. It's like, yeah, that's just another character. So, but to Westerners, it's like, oh, it's a cat. This makes it more cartoony and colorful. Whereas they're like, no, it doesn't.
No, the cat is in the game, but he's in. You're introduced to him in a much more lighter-hearted part of the game, not during one of the heaviest scenes in the game.
Well, that's my point, because now you've seen his character who you can trauma bond over because you've seen him upset as well, so he knows what's going on.
Okay, now I hear what you're saying.
No,
okay,
don't get me wrong. I get what he's saying for sure. Like, the first one was definitely darker, and if I was a kid, I think from an emotional point of view, the first one, like in this time, connects more with me. Oh damn, this is crazy. Whereas this one, it feels more generic. and I think it feels more generic because it's actually pulling on tropes that we are used to now. So you could make an argument that Final Fantasy was pioneering the way for
Yes, correct. Serious stories.
cinematography back then. So they were the ones setting the trends, but now those trends have maybe gone. So now it's like, well, what's popular among Japanese people and Westerners? And it's probably the generic music, the explosions, the bad guy smiling with his hand, ha 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 ha. This is something like maybe like Link does with Ganondorf, and that was popular.
Yeah.
So I think this feels more generic, but also feels more casual. Like, this is what it's expected.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just want him to finish this because he goes into a lot more detail. Guys, please go check it out.
Thanks to the guitar solo. Also, remember in the OG, the scene where the newscaster is reading on TV and he's like, gone. The cameraman doesn't even die. How am I supposed to know it's dangerous now? So, yeah, sorry to break the spell for those of you who thought that things only got bad in Rebirth. No, it was bad from Remake. It was always better graphics, but it was artistically inferior in every way possible. It's like they completely forgot why these iconic scenes were so good to begin with. Dugan, it's so gay. Listen, mate. You asked for this, Dugan. You asked for this. All right?
This is your badass mercenary guy who's dealing with grief and loss. And
do you know what this reminds me of somewhat? It almost reminds me of Yakuza. Like, who's to say that they didn't say, wait a second, what are the JRPG games that's trending right now? We got Fire Emblem doing crazy numbers. We got Yakuza taking off, and the Westerners are playing it. So they're saying, the Western people are loving Yakuza. They're having a great time. And they're saying, we got to make a remake. So, yeah, let's look at what Yakuza is doing. And let's look at what Fire Emblem is doing and these other games. So it seems like they have been generic-fied in terms of like chasing trends.
Yes, I completely agree with you. I think that is essentially what happened when they were making this game, is that they looked at who's like the fans or the current the target audience for the current JRPGs that are like the most popular in Japan, and they went with that. So I'm trying to get I'm going to queue up the GTA trailer so we can discuss that a little bit. But before that, I had another question for you. Actually, yes, it was just one question. Actually, one last comment. So I feel that another reason why Expedition 33 was so well received is because of the fact that it does a lot of the stuff. The themes are heavy from beginning of the game to the end of the game, just like those RPGs that people remember from that time period or from that day. Versus now, where it's a lot more lighthearted stuff. I mean, Sega still has a lot of dark themes in their JRPGs, but I think that's been missing from Square Enix or JRPGs for a while now, and a lot of gamers gravitated towards Expedition 33 because of that reason, because it gets all that right. Those storytellers understand how to do that, whereas it's almost been abandoned as a consequence of, well, you know what, the franchise is bigger than that now, where we've got more players, so we've got a much more diverse audience than we did before.
Yeah, agreed.
So what is the game that you're looking forward to in 2026, Tyre, the most?
In 2026, okay. Interesting enough, there's nothing really on the Xbox side that is grabbing my attention, even on the Nintendo side as well. On the Sony side, probably not even anything as much as well, because I don't think they're going to release anything new. Wolverine probably is their biggest game, but I'm not crazy about that. So I would have to say I'm interested in Clockwork Revolution. I think that's
Is
going to
that
be
your
interesting.
game? That this is your most anticipated game in the year that GTA comes out is Clockwork Revolution. Let me just let me read you the games, right? Let me read you the list of the games. Like this is not all of them, but this is some of the most anticipated games. Theory, of course, at number one. If I had to say, like, okay, the tier one games that everybody's looking forward to, these are going to be the big ones. These are going to be the hits, regardless of what happens. Number one is going to be GTA 6. I'm sure everybody's looking forward to that. Number two, Resident Evil Requiem. I'm very indifferent about this one, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting entry in the survival horror genre. Number three, of course, is Marvel's Wolverine. And number four is the biggest one from Xbox next year, which is the Fable Reboot. So that's the A tier now. That's the A tier list of games that are going to be coming out next year. Do you want us to go to the next to tier two before you?
Yeah, tier two.
Okay, tier two is something called, and we can look this up. Bold Experiments. It's the Saros, right? Saros from Housemarque. The spiritual sequel to what was that other roguelike that they released? Sony. It also escaped me.
Returnal,
yes. Then it's Duskbloods from FromSoftware. That is the spiritual successor again to Bloodborne. And then it's Thick as Thieves from Warren Spector. I don't know much about this game. And then, of course, it's Control Resonant from Remedy. So that's the tier 2 games. The tier 3 games, which is mostly like older school games and remakes, is Onimusha Way of the Sword, Pragmata from Capcom. A lot of people are playing the demo on that right now. Rhythm Heaven Groove Next Gen. And of course, the classic that we've all been waiting for all this time, Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream.
Oh, yes, of course. You know what it is, man.
So that's the 3 tiers. Like, I might be leaving out games here. Chat, please let us know, what are your games that you're looking forward to in 2026? So Rachel says Fire Emblem Engage was a huge failure. It was goofy. Nobody liked it. The story and the characters and the previous entry, FE3 houses, is what made the brand mainstream. I know very little about Fire Emblem, Richie. Tai, you are a Fire Emblem guy, right?
No, I'm not, but I'm an adjacent fan in the sense that like I look it up, you know, I like what I see, and I'm always keeping up to date on it. And Tree Houses is like they're seen as one of the best ones out there. So I think Rich is correct on this point.
Plague Tale. I'm trying to think. Oh, Plague Tale. Plague Tale is the Rat series, right? It's really not on my radar. Is that on your radar, Ty? The third game and that. I'm sorry, Rachie, but like that franchise just never really did anything for me. Yeah, I've never really got into it. But everybody, from what I've heard, it says it's a brilliant series, and it's worth all the hype. But guys, please tell us what's on your list. What is? I take it, Rachie, that Plague Tale 3 is your game that you're looking forward to in 2026. So Tai, like out of these games that I've listed in these tiers, and of course everybody will agree and disagree, which one are you most looking forward to?
Include just the ones you've said, or the ones that I think?
No. Any game, even if I didn't include it here.
To be honest, it's a tricky one to say, but in terms of the one I actually want to play and get my hands on, honestly, it's going to be Clockwork Revolution. Not because because I think it has the most potential to grab me from a story perspective. So when I look at a game like Clair Obscur, I think the idea of what the mystery could be and what Clockwork could do, because the people who are making Clockwork is in exile, and they know how to write stories. I think Brian Fraggle is one of the guys who's writing it as well. So from a story perspective, I think it can leave a bigger impact on me. Like when I'm talking to one of my guys, and I said, what's your game of the year? I thought it was gonna be Donkey Kong because from a gameplay perspective, he loved it, and he said that Donkey Kong is one of the best games he's played.
Yeah.
However, he said Clear Obscure left a lasting impression on him. Like it's a game that he thinks about till this day still. And I think Clockwork has the biggest potential to do that. From what I've seen of Fable, first of all, I don't really trust the writers too much on that game. I don't really know. I've seen the gameplay. The gameplay looks meh. So I don't think the story's going to blow me away. I don't think the gameplay's going to blow me away. In fact, I was actually watching it a little bit earlier on, and it looks like basically a Witcher 3 upgrade. Like if the Witcher 3 came out, for the Series X and the PS5, that's what it would look like, except it's just a little bit more stiff. So definitely not Fable. Gears of War, I'm not a Gears crazy fan. I do trust Coalition to release a good game. However, I'm just not looking forward to those kind of games in the first place. Halo, no thank you. GTA is like a very easy shout out. Well, from a gameplay point of view, from a technology point of view, I don't see what GTA does. But from a story point of view, I'm not particularly interested. I think Clockwork still has the leg up. I mean, there's time travel involved. You can go back in time and change to different dimensions and stuff like that, right? So for me, I'm definitely gonna say Clockwork is the game that's actually catching my attention the most.
So you're looking forward to some more AA 7 out of 10 Xbox.
Well, the thing is that I think Clockwork. Listen, if Clockwork is a 7 out of 10, well, that'll be a disaster. If it's an 8 out of 10, I think that'll be a disaster too. I think In Exile should be aiming for something like in the high 80s for sure.
But like I always say, just look to their past, man. They don't have a single game that's an 80. Do they have a game that's an 80?
No, In Exile. Yeah. Wasteland 2. I think it was like 84, 85. Wasteland 2 Metacritic. Hold on. Yeah, In Exile is a really good. In Exile is one of the best studios Xbox purchased.
Is Clockwork Orange In Exile?
Am I saying
Clockwork?
Yeah, it's In Exile. Yeah. Wasteland 2. Wait, Wasteland 3. Wasteland 3.
I like
Wasteland 3 has a Metacritic of 85.
Is it In Exile? Is it not the guys that made We Happy Few?
No. That's Compulsion. No, that's Double Fine. No, We Happy Few is Compulsion.
Yeah, it's Compulsion games. Is Compulsion not doing Clockwork?
No. Compulsion did the game with the black girl.
Oh yes, you're right. Midnight.
South of Midnight.
What is it?
South of Midnight.
South of Midnight. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So look, I agree with you. If we're talking In Exile, then look, I was a huge fan of Wasteland 3. So maybe you have a point here because they're sort of in the same transition that Owlcat Games is going through, going from like 2D based games or games that are or more simplified graphics to more 3D Mass Effect / Witcher type games. So it's going to be an interesting transition to see how they do that. So, okay, cool. So now you've actually got me interested in Clockwork. What I keep saying, Clockwork Orange. What's it called? Clockwork of Revolution.
Revolution, yeah.
I really wasn't looking forward to it much, but now that you've mentioned, you've clarified, because I thought for some reason in my back of my head, I thought it was the other guys, Compulsion that made it. But okay, cool. But this is the one that everybody's looking forward to. And personally, to me, this is probably what I'm also looking forward to. Actually, unless is any of those sci-fi games coming out next year, which they would not be mentioned.
So 2027 is for I think everything's 2027. From what I remember checking. So no sci-fi games.
Yeah, so this is Norseman. So we're not getting Expanse next year. We're not getting Exodus next year.
No. Exodus is going to be early 2027.
Oh wow.
Yeah, okay. I think the game might have gone through some development.
Wait, this year. I forget when 2026. This year. Okay, no, that sucks. That's sort of terrible. So for me, I think then I would have to, because I'm not on PlayStation, so I'm not gonna get Wolverine. Fable, I think, is gonna be a dud for obvious reasons.
Really?
Yes, I think it's gonna flop. Saros from Mark again. I'm not a Sony guy, so I'm not gonna be picking up Saros. So out of this list, I must say the Goat Man, like GTA 6 is what I'm looking forward to the most because I really think it's going to change gaming and I think it's going to move the needle in a lot of ways, which I actually just wanted to find out from you. So let's see. Did Raichi say which game he's most looking forward to? Yes, Plague Tale is not on my list, but it is on the list. You know, a lot of people's list for this year, in terms of games they're looking forward to. So Ty, we spoke about this briefly a couple of days ago. What do you think is going to be the impact of GTA 6 when it does, or if it does launch on the 26th of May? Do you think it's going, because again, let's look at like, what's the last big game that was at this level that was this
Cyberpunk.
anticipated?
Or maybe Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
I would
Do
say
you
probably
think it's
Cyberpunk
going-
was.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that GTA is going to do is, apart from it just being a huge game that, the kids will love to play, I think everyone who even never played GTA was going to buy this game. Like, I think everyone who purchased the previous GTA game is going to buy this one, and people who didn't buy the previous GTA game is going to buy this one. And that's including me as well. This game is a pretty much near sell day one, and it's probably one of those games that people would actually check out the reviews and say, you know what, maybe it sucks, but they're still gonna buy it anyway because they want to be part of the conversation. They want the memes, they want the pictures, and there's gonna be some controversial things at the game that's gonna, obviously push it from a marketing point of view. We've seen the twerking, we've seen the sexiness of the game, we're gonna see all the best bits of, I guess you could say, America to its extreme. It's gonna be a conversational game. I think even people in the East are gonna buy it. It's gonna rock, right? If Xbox can get a deal with Take-Two to stream the game via cloud on its servers, that's gonna be a huge uptick. In fact, I think they need to, whatever they need to pay Take-Two, they need to do that. Sony's gonna have marketing. Do they really need marketing for this game? Not really. It's gonna sell anyway. Ambition is the default brand. I think it's gonna force Xbox sales to sell a little bit more. I think you mentioned that at some points as well. Especially with the Series S, I would probably maybe urge Microsoft to reduce the Series S price, but then again, maybe they don't want to do that. Lose out on profit margins. From a gameplay perspective, I think you're gonna get probably the most dynamic world ever created in terms of character movement, character having a day and night cycle. I mean, Rockstar has done this before with Red Dead Redemption 2. People have watched characters go to work, do different activities, and I think GTA is gonna take that to the extreme as well. And what I'm really hoping for is a level of interactivity that we haven't seen in video games before. I want people, not just when I point my gun at you for you to freak out, but I would just like to be able to have even conversations and talks and all these random things with people. I want it to be like a social media element where I can go and post news, post pictures, and interact with the world in a way that no game has ever given you the opportunity to do that before. And this has to be a game where I feel like I can live in, and I can come home from work and literally I don't want to drop this game. This is the game becomes my life now. And listen, it's come at the right time when it comes with AI, because we've already seen the Cyberpunk videos with AI. We've seen this kind of videos with AI. GTA gives you that chance to actually live in a immersive world, and you can just imagine that this would be the best playground for an AI game. Is it going to change the industry? In many ways, for sure. I think it's going to set the benchmark for realism, like from an interactive point of view. And sales-wise, it's going to crush it. Gameplay-wise, I don't know if it's going to really do anything too much, because some of the things it's going to do, I don't know. I can't really picture other games maybe copying it, to be honest, because I don't know. I think we're gonna expect what we expect, but there's gonna be new features that's gonna like probably drag us, or sorry, not drag us, but make us more interested in the game. It's really hard to pinpoint because it could really just be what we're seeing now, except much better.
Yeah.
Are they gonna have new mechanics in the game though? Oof, like that one's gonna be hard to tell. I'm not too sure because you don't really want to mess up a core feature.
I think for me the main thing is going to be the AI integration, and I think that's why the game was delayed, is because they probably found so many other things that you could do in terms of like optimizing the NPCs using AI to make their routines and their like their, what do you call it? It is routines, like their daily routines, more lifelike or more realistic. Yeah, so I think that's definitely going to be a huge part of it. Of course, graphics is going to be like nothing we've seen before in terms of detail. What I'm curious is to see how interesting the story is, especially since we are now being introduced to the first female GTA protagonist since the original GTA series, the 2D series. We've not had a female protagonist, so this is going to be interesting. The storyline is going to be interesting in terms of how the two play off each other. Which one is actually, you're going to get in a situation. I think, you're going to get to a situation where you have to probably choose one or the other. One has to kill the other one to make it a little bit more dramatic. But the story is going to be, Hollywood level.
I doubt that'll
but
happen.
I always say that. Sorry?
I doubt that'll happen.
What's
Has there ever
that?
been a time when GTA has killed off its protagonist?
Well, in the last game, you had to choose which one to kill between the three
shit.
protagonists.
Oh shit, my bad.
Yeah, so you had to choose between who's this? As Franklin, you have to choose to either kill Trevor or you're gonna kill. Is it Mike? Who's the other guy? I think.
Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine. I was just wondering.
So, but like my point being is that they're gonna do something dramatic. I mean, like the writing is always stellar when it comes to Rockstar. They never mess up with the writing. So, and I know, like I saw an article saying that every single Rockstar studio is working on GTA 6. Every single one of them. So people are expecting.
So wait, are you gonna be buying this game on the Xbox?
No, I'm gonna get it on Steam, dude. I don't buy games on Xbox anymore.
Wait, Steam? You mean you're gonna wait like nearly 2 years to get this game?
Oh shit! I forgot it's not coming on Play. Ah, crap! Damn, they got me.
I guess exclusives do work, hey?
They do. Look at that. Would you look at that? They got me with them damn exclusives. You see, Ty, this is why I always say to you, exclusives needs to go away. We need to have every game available on every platform.
Reggie says xCloud Stream Series S version of the game.
Yeah, see, like that now I forgot. So I don't have a choice. If I do want to buy it, I'll have to get on Xbox then. I'll have to get on Series S.
Well, to be honest, like, I think this is one reason why I would have said, like, if Xbox could have released the hybrid next year, it would have been amazing, because then you could get an Xbox hybrid and play it that way, or you could even remote play it as well too. I guess you could probably remote play the game to your PC, right? Oh, but you're gonna be using yeah, you're right. You're gonna be using Xbox graphics. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
So it's not worth it. I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
So aside from just like in terms of like the quality, so let's talk about like metrics for GTA 6. Let's start with Metascore.
90.
You think it's gonna
90 Metascore.
90?
Yeah.
I predict it's going to open at 100% and then drop down to maybe 99 or 98%.
Really?
GTA never opens at like lower 90s. It always opens high 90s. In fact, a lot of them, when they open at 100. They're just everything combined, the hype, the pedigree, the polish, and the quality. If they tick all those boxes like they've done with every other GTA game in the past, this game will open at 100.
Listen, let me take that back. I was speaking out of ignorance, because I actually wanted to see actually I take everything back. I take everything back. Not 90. I'm guessing probably I can't really think of a number right now because I need to really think about it. But I'll probably just say just off the bat, I'll probably say 95 Metacritic.
95. And
yeah, I think
so
one of the reasons why I think there might be an issue here is, and I don't know, is that this might be one of those Rockstar games that might come out with some glitches. I don't know if it's gonna do that or not, but if there are like slowdowns, glitches, and it's not cooked properly, because it's been delayed twice now, right? And I think the question is, it's gonna come out definitely in 2020 in 2026, regardless if it's fully ready or not. And I just wonder that, are they in a position where the team is actually telling them like, yo, this isn't really 2026, it's 2027, early 2027, but you've already delayed it like twice now, and I know the shows are going to go crazy if we go past 2026. So it's in a good enough state to release, but it's not going to reach the heights that it should reach. So I wonder if that's going to play a role in its meta score, because there's so much going on, and there's so much mechanics and all these things happening, and the graphics are going to be great, especially if it's going to be the current gen consoles, right? Xbox Series X and the Series S and the PS5. Are we in a situation where these consoles, I'm not saying it's going to be like a cyberpunk situation, but are these consoles really capable of dealing with a game like GTA? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. But again, I still reckon that we've not seen the juice squeezed out of these current generation consoles as much as I think we should at this point in time, 5 years into the generation. And I feel that like with most GTA games, when they do come out, they do push the envelope, and they do break all those graphical barriers, because this is GTA 6 from 2013, sorry, 5 from 2013, and the game still looks passable. So you can imagine just like the graphical fidelity that you're gonna get there. So that's the last thing I'm worried about, is the graphics. It's the story and the gameplay to me that I think will determine what it lands on. But I can see it opening at 100%. No game ever finishes at 100, but it will land at about 98, 99. Same score as a Halo or the previous GTA. I think GTA 4 5 had a 98% Metascore. So I see it doing similar numbers. And then I wanted to ask you, in terms of sales.
Oh man, Donovan. I can't think of one, to be honest, because I need to look at some of the data points. But it will be the fastest selling game for sure.
Yes, and we did, like within our conversation, I did say to you that I predict that it's going to boost Series X sales up by 50%, up to 50%.
That's a good shout out. I do feel like Microsoft should. I think that can happen if they give it a deal, like if they reduce the prices a little bit more. Because I know a lot of people who were considering buying the the Series S for Black Friday, and not only was the PS5 Slim cheaper, it's also the bigger brand console. So it's kind of like, when I looked at that, I was like, damn, like even the Series S till this day right now is more expensive than the PS5. Like that just isn't going to fly. So I think Xbox needs to, like, they're gonna get some Xbox One guys converting for sure, and people who just like the Xbox ecosystem go from the Xbox One to the Series X and S. But I think to really take advantage of the potential launch of GTA, they really need to drop the price down a little bit more of the Series X and the Series X. Or they need Sony to have huge shortages, and people are just like, oh fuck it, we just have to pick the Xbox consoles. It's a huge opportunity, and I hope they take it out, they do something with it. Primarily, I think I even think the main focus shouldn't even be like the consoles, it should be cloud. I think if you get GTA on Nextcloud, and I don't know if you can advertise it, because Sony might get the advertising, but if you somehow are able to tell people like, hey, GTA is on cloud gaming, and you increase the servers, you increase the quality, I think it can be a good showpiece for cloud, and it's going to get a lot of people invested in the ecosystem, or at least to actually try out their cloud service and see like it actually does work.
Agreed. I think again, I don't see Rockstar doing that pivot particularly. I think Rockstar is probably more trying to fast track the PC version of GTA 6 I don't think they're gonna be that cloud focused, but it would be.
But the beauty of it is that Rockstar doesn't have to integrate with the cloud. It will be all Xbox. So Rockstar still
you
does
mean
what they
like
want to
through
do. It's just
xCloud?
Xbox deals with the cloud management of things. So for Rockstar, it's just easy money, basically.
Okay, I see what you mean. So people can stream it through xCloud through the Xbox service or app. Okay, that works. So Reichi says something interesting here. He says, when GTA 5 released with 160 million consoles ready, this year we only 110 are ready for the GTA for GTA 6. Is that, I take it that 110, Reichi, is between the series consoles and the PlayStation 5. And at some point in time, they're gonna port it to to Switch 2. Has there been any word on Red Dead Redemption 2 for Switch? Reggie, let me know if you, because I don't remember. I know that the first one is available on Switch. I don't know if Red Dead Redemption 2 is available on Switch, because that would tell me that definitely we're probably gonna get a port sooner than later of GTA 6 on the Switch 2, which again, that would be just easy money to print for Rockstar. So we've talked about like the actual sales for GTA 6. We've talked about the meta score or the overall reception. We've talked about technically how good the game probably is going to be. I think the only other element, and we've also talked about like how it's going to affect console sales and overall the culture. I think the only other element actually left to discuss when it comes to GTA and Rockstar. Do you think it's going to be as controversial as previous Rockstar games / GTA games? I can't remember if there was any controversy surrounding.
I know, like for San Andreas, there was things like a sex mini game was included without being alerted, so you had things like that. And I think GTA is going to be more controversial. I think I don't know about more controversial in terms of having something in the game that's going to rile people up. Everything's going to rile everyone up, yeah. But I think because there's more eyes on the game, you're going to have people who are fans of the game getting riled up. You're going to have every corner of the industry, not just gaming, but entertainment. Everyone on the left, everyone on the right, everyone in the middle. They're gonna have something to say about this game. They're gonna find something. It's gonna be praised for being open and diverse, and it's gonna get flack for being open and diverse. It's gonna get praise for spitting in wokeism's face, and it's gonna be praised for being woke. It's gonna be praised for every single thing out there. That's just what it is. Everyone who wants this game to fail is going to point to it failing in some way, shape, or form, and everyone who wants the game to succeed is going to point to it succeeding in some shape or form. It's just what it is. I think I'm going to be surprised if you start seeing CNN, Sky News, and all these other companies literally cover this game, and they'll cover all the bad and good parts of it. They'll cover the business parts of it. They'll cover the maybe even diverse part of it. You have foreign or brown and whatever commentators talking about the game in a very positive way, celebrating its diversity, and you're gonna have other people lambasting it in many ways, saying like, oh, look at these people twerking and stuff like that. Oh, you can run around and shoot cops, this is bad game, this is bad like everyone's gonna have this say in this game, and it's gonna be glorious.
But do you think in today's world GTA can do enough to shock? Like I think like this, like in 2013 there was still a lot of stuff that we hadn't seen or we hadn't even thought about, or like it was a very different world, especially online, than it is today. Do you think that people still have something left in terms of shock value? Like is there's still room for shock value in 2026?
That's a good question. What I didn't really think about, I think definitely like from an entertainment point of view, you can get shock value. I know people look at the United States presidency and the things he says and does, when everyone focuses on that guy, right? But I think with GTA, because it's a video game, you're gonna have a situation where The people who are more in tune with it, and even if it's not as shock value, people like the idea of shock, right? So they'll find something in the game and they'll cry about it, and they'll play victim or whatever it is. And I think the maybe, for example, I could see some maybe people going crazy at the fact of like all the twerking and violence in the game. And they're annoying to feel like, hey, this game is selling so well and this is glorifying violence. We shouldn't be playing games like this that glorifies these things. So for them, that's the level of shock value. But in terms of anything like, like what Call of Duty did, with no Russian, when they shot all the civilians, or when Call of Duty, you were playing a mission where you had to where you're in the Middle East and you're shooting some women, in hijabs who could have been terrorists or not. Like in terms of things like that, I don't think we'll get that. I don't know if Rockstar feels like they even need that. The funny thing is that they could do it and get away with it, and might even be more good for advertising. But I think they'll play it, I don't want to say safe. They'll play it from an expected point of view. They expect the satire of America to play a role. So you see, maybe some stereotypes that people might be slightly offended at. But as long as you're taking shots at everybody, you're doing a South Park situation, I think you're fine.
Yeah, I agree. I really think, that's how you need to approach it. They can't be any secret cows. There can't be any exceptions to the rule. Everyone gets treated the same in terms of like how they are addressed in the game. And I think that you'll avoid most of the issues if you take that sort of approach.
Yeah.
So I think just moving on from GTA. Sorry?
No, Rachel's PlayStation Cloud crushes the X Cloud, so they lose. Yeah, but I don't think Sony is willing to spend that much money on cloud, whereas Microsoft is. They're full on it. They still think it's the biggest thing coming. So I think you're gonna see Xbox try to get that. I feel like somebody told me that they were trying, or the Valleys reached out to sort that out. Whether they succeed or not is a different story though.
So Rachel, I agree with you to a certain extent in the sense that, but that was not what was in the game. It had more to do with the person who owns the license for the game, or who owns, I don't know, is it a license? What is JR? What is the JK Rowling? What is she owns the property, and she's the controversial figure that caused the upheaval. There's nothing in the game that was in any shape or form controversial. Whereas GTA, it's going to be the stuff in the game that's going to be controversial, because again, for me, you know what I would like to see? I would like them to see. So I would like to see them parody 2025 America. To your point, and what I mean by 2025 America, everything from the politicians, the influencers. I still think a lot of the stuff that they're parodying is stuff from pre-2020. I think a lot of it was relevant 2020 wise in terms of what was trending. I don't think they put in a lot of the, for instance, I don't think you're gonna see any MAGA references in the game. So
that's a good point. Will we see MAGA references or not?
Because I think a lot of the stuff that inspired them, because they probably started making this game around 2014, 2015, is what was trending during that time. So if they were to update some of that stuff to include more recent, and again, it's dangerous to, it's risky, not dangerous. It's risky to do that. It can be risky. If you, for instance, you have certain characters like a Nick Fuentes type character in the game, or a Ben Shapiro type character in the game, or a Candace Owens type character. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they were parodying 2025, that is what we would have seen in that trailer. But a lot of the stuff I'm seeing or I saw in that trailer is stuff from 2019, 2018, like the girls with the mud, that southern mud wrestling, all that stuff that happens in Florida. Not a lot of it was very much related to what is topical today. Are they going to go into things like riots that happened post 2020, 2019? You
No,
get
you're
where I'm
right.
going with this.
Yeah, no. I think you're right. I think all the core parts have already done it already, so they've already written the script. I guess they might be able to blend a few things because even at that, like Trump was, he was in power, like what, back in the days. So they might have some kind of MAGA, make America like great, get great again situation. I can see them, potentially maybe shoehorning certain story points, like, oh, the president is sick, aka Joe Biden. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did things like that, if they could like patch it in real quick to kind of make it more interesting and more relatable to the actual people.
Mm.
But no, you're right. They might have already done all these parts already, so there's no real reason for them to force themselves and to stress themselves out trying to include these things.
And unfortunately, they don't do whatchamacallit, DLC anymore. So we're not gonna get like a DLC, a MAGA DLC for GTA.
That's a good point. You never know. I think the multiplayer is going to really capture everyone's attention. But I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to do a DLC. I think one thing you can probably bank on is that like they probably have some side content that just lying around that they probably cut out the game. So because they have that, might as well patch it into a DLC and throw a lot of like multiplayer elements into it. Now, obviously, this depends on how big the multiplayer part is. Because if that's with the money maker, then you can see them just completely pulling away from any single player DLC. But I think a GTA DLC would be the best. Like I don't want to say it would be the best selling DLC in the world. Like it would clearly outstrip a lot of games out there, right? From a sales perspective. So I think Rockstar, if they wanted to kind of get a second lease from this game, especially to bring the single player people back into the the multiplayer fold potentially. Yeah, release a major DLC, single player DLC.
So I actually wanted to make one more. So Reggie says something funny. He says the house the White House invasion. That will make for a nice DLC, Reggie.
There you go.
But you need to have some conventionally chaotic characters, and the characters that we have seem to be pretty put together. One prediction I wanted to make, actually, that made me, now that you're talking about multiplayer, is the fact that I predict that GTA's online component is actually going to be the core game. Which, that's the one thing I think that they've not really advertised, but I predict that that's going to be the core. What I mean by core is that it's going to be the main focus, to the point that I feel that the only time that that game is gonna fall short of expectations, let's say be below 95, is because if they cut content from the main game, or they reduce the amount of effort they put into the single player game, because they understand that the core component of the game, where all the money's at, is the online. And in other words, the split from single player goes from, instead of it being 70% development cost spent on making sure that you build the single player, it's now 70-30. And I think we'll be able to tell, the first reviews will be able to tell you that if the shift has now gone, which all the numbers suggest that's probably going to happen. Anyone who knows this industry for what it is, and if you've been following like how Rockstar works, I think one thing that everybody's not expecting is the fact that online might actually end up being the core part of the game, and people will finish it will be a short campaign, and then after that, immediately it then says, thank you, now go to the online game. And I think that will be the most disappointing thing about the game. That's the one thing that will, for a certain segment or a huge part of like the fanboys, the console fanboys, that is the one thing they will attack the game for.
But I wonder how the online, like if that was to be the case, like what would the online part be exactly? Would it just be like multiplayer, or would it be like everyone is in some kind of MMO? Do you know what I mean? That'd be the part I'd be interested in.
Well, I mean, it would be a lot of what we get now in GTA Online, just more polished, 20 times better graphics, 20 times more things to do in the world, more dynamic. It's literally like these more recent Japanese waifu simulators that actually give you an open world and all these, things to do, but with GTA graphics and game design. So I see them doing that. I see them having, like, for instance, entire stories built around the online component that you need to sort of access once you finish the main game.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think there might be quite a bit of pushback when it's no longer the single player that's the focus, but it's the online open world. Yeah, because they release an expansion pack every 3 months.
GTA.
Like, there's a new expansion for GTA. Yes, there's a new expansion almost every 3 to 6 months. There's a new expansion for GTA 5.
I didn't
So
know that.
they must be very proficient in making content for it, and it's making them money hand over fist. Why not? Why would they not focus on that as part of the push for 6? Who knows?
When do you think the marketing campaign will kick off?
If the game is going to be out in May, then definitely March. You should get one of those trailers. Those in GTA 5, you will be able to do, those is it like 45 minutes of a deep dive showing you the golf course, showing you the yards, showing you the different clubs you can go to. We'll probably get one of those trailers in March if the game is coming out in May.
Okay.
And then that's when the campaign will start kicking off.
Makes sense. I think it might start a little bit earlier, but yeah, no, they could do
If
it.
the game is coming out in May.
Do you think it's coming out in May?
I think it's 60-40 at this point. I think there's a good chance it is. Look, I mean, gaming has changed so much that, like, I mean, what could possibly... Even back in 2013, there was very few things that could compete with GTA. GTA has the entire year regardless of when it releases. So it's all going to come down to what Rockstar believes or feels about the game.
No disagreement.
So the only thing that it's a shame is that the fact that we're gonna get GTA 6 before we got a next generation version of Red Dead Redemption 2 with better frame rates for consoles and all that graphical stuff. All right, so Taya, I don't know if there's anything we didn't cover here. I think we talked about most of the big games. Well, we talked primarily about GTA. I don't know if you want to go into Tomodachi Life and what you're looking forward to in that game. Pragmata. Is there any other game that you would like us to do?
Pragmata is one I'm looking forward to. But if you give me like just 1 minute, I need to go turn on something.
Okay, let's see if we can't get some Pragmata footage up here. So for me, I've seen a lot of people playing it. They're busy with the demo. It looks interesting, but I don't know if I'm the only one that gets Bioshock vibes from that game. Like, literally, it looks like a game that just bit off Bioshock 2 with the big daddies and the little sisters. That, to me, seems like the core mechanic of that game. And again, it's like, I don't know, like, it's interesting, but again, like, I'm not a big Capcom guy. So aside from GTA, anyone looking forward to Resident Evil Requiem? They showed off a trailer where they showed that Leon is going to be joining the game. So I'm sure that's very exciting for Resident Evil fans. Marvel Wolverine, we did talk about later last year. That's another game that I potentially suspect there might be some delays. It looked a little bit far from finished from what we saw. So I'm knowing Insomniac, they're going to want to polish it and maybe avoid some of the pitfalls from Spider-Man 2 in terms of glitches and issues. Fable, I don't think is coming out, to be honest with you. I think with some point in time, Microsoft is going to announce quietly that the game has been shelved or something. I don't see it coming out this year at all, to be honest. Halo Combat Evolved Remake, I Taya, we did speak about this, and I think one of the main things, or the consensus between the two of us, was the fact that it's probably not going to do great on PlayStation 5. Rachel, I don't know what you think, but I don't think this game is going to do gangbusters on PlayStation 5. I can see it doing well for the existing Xbox audience and maybe PC, but just like Gears Reloaded, I don't see this going or doing anything for PlayStation or in terms of sales. So we'll have to see. Xbox is still a huge, giant ball in the air in terms of where we're gonna see them go with this. Sony, this is gonna be an interesting, very, very interesting year for Sony, and hopefully we get to see more than just Wolverine. So there's that Saros. I hope there's something else more than just Saros for PlayStation. I don't know, did I miss some of the Nintendo stuff? I don't see anything big coming out for Nintendo. There's no Zelda game. There's nothing that's been announced really for Nintendo in terms of the Switch 2. Maybe we'll start to get some of the bigger Nintendo exclusives coming to Switch 2 that I'm looking forward to. So again, I think just one last thing I wanted to get into before we close the podcast is, what are you guys looking forward to, or what do you think is going to blow things out of the water in terms of hardware this year?
Yo, if that hybrid console comes out, magic. I think
this year.
When you think, well, no, it's not gonna come out this year, unfortunately, right? But I think you will see a potential.
You mean the Steam machine?
The Steam machine, yeah, but I think you're also going to see a PC, probably something from Asus as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you see something from Asus, then you're going to see a situation where the landscape of gaming is going to change, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people need to look at it this way: when the PS1 launched and the PS2 launched, we started to kind of get into those smart device technology side of things, but it didn't really change the way we, gaming per se, apart from the graphics. Now, when the Wii launched, we had a change. When the DS launched, we had a change. And now, the question is, what's the next level? What's the next step? And that next step is literally what Xbox is doing. The Steam machine, the Xbox hybrid. This is where gaming evolves into. And anyone who's saying, "Oh, Sony this, PlayStation this," the traditional way, I just ask, why? Why do people want a closed-off ecosystem? I don't think these people realize that from a consumer perspective, they're actually going against what is in their own interest, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, I don't think they realize that they're fighting a battle on behalf of a corporation. I understand why Sony wants this. I understand why Nintendo wants this. I understand why the consumer would want this at all. And so it's so bizarre to me. So I'm listen. As soon as a hybrid console comes out, I can never get a PlayStation device really again. At least I think so. If they keep their games exclusive to the PlayStation ecosystem, yeah. But if as soon as you tell me there's some time exclusive on PC or whatever it is, I'm gone. I'm not getting a PS6, PS7, PS8. I'm completely done, and it's gonna be desktop/hybrid from here on in.
Okay, cool. So I just wanted to add to that, so I don't think there's no one is against this. This is the thing. You're pitching an idea or a proof of concept that needs to be proven. I think that's the only difference, is that a lot of people it's not been done. So no one is just naturally behind that specific idea or that like or that approach to console gaming. A lot of I think for me, like there's a lot of things that are up in the air currently in terms of strategy from all the different manufacturers. But I don't think anyone is against your hybrid or all these sort of like these PC slash
No, no, they are.
console.
They are. They are.
Um,
They're against
well,
it,
I mean, like,
but they're against it by default
yeah.
because one, it changed the status quo, and two, it makes what they believe in, which is this idea of a closed ecosystem, it makes it seem redundant. It doesn't work. Because if someone comes out with a hybrid device and it does well, then the next question people are going to start asking themselves is like, well, why am I getting a closed off ecosystem?
Yeah.
And then and then imagine a situation where the consumer sentiment starts to change into, well, wait a second, why is this consumer friendly? Why is me getting this device that only plays that is completely closed off a good system? And then when you start to look at what the hybrid could do, especially if you can play PlayStation games or not the other games, it becomes a more of attractive thing. It stops the console war, but it's hard to fight. Because
my thing is
like the pulse has shifted from
yeah.
Xbox versus PlayStation now to like, well, exclusives matter. Because like I think that's a problem now. Now it's all about exclusives matter, and I'm thinking like, you people don't see it. Like you're changing like the stance to some extent, and at some point, like you're saying exclusives matter, but at the same time, your daddy's putting games on PC where the other guys can get to it. Now you can make an argument that, well, they can't get to it via the ecosystem, but who cares? It's all a charade.
But like, I just don't think, like, again, there's two things here. I don't think these things are going to have a significant impact on the actual console industry. I think PlayStation gamers are still going to buy PlayStation, Nintendo gamers are still going to buy Nintendo, and the Xbox guys that want an Xbox solution will get an Xbox solution. I don't think none of those things are going to move the needle per se. To your point, there's very specific target audience for that sort of console, and that audience will buy it or will adopt it. But I don't see it's going to see the same success as even, say, the Series S and X in terms of like sales. But it's going to be an interesting experiment. Do you think it's going to do better than the Series X and S? You're muted, né? I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry about that. I was saying, how long though? At what point does it start to do better than the Series X and S? At what point does the device start to make sense even from a console player perspective? At what point does a kid ask the question, wait, why am I? Because remember, we've grown up in this closed off ecosystem, right? We're like the old guard. At what point does the child say, why the hell am I getting a device that can only play a specific type of game from one ecosystem? How does that make sense to that kid?
So what are you saying? I want you to be specific. Are you saying that people are gonna move or migrate away from traditional consoles to?
I'm saying that a Gen Z like child, or whatever you want to call it, Gen Alpha, they are more likely to warm up to a hybrid device that because it suits their needs. It plays anything, everywhere. You buy one game, you get it on the hybrid, you get it on your desktop, and you get it on your handheld, and you get it on your cloud. But if you do like you're trapped.
Mm-hmm.
Why would anybody willingly choose that device?
Well, people are sort of like, and again, this goes back to what Phil Spencer said, is that people have built their libraries in those ecosystems. So according to Phil Spencer, that is why people will stay on PlayStation and will refuse to go to Xbox. That is why people will stay on Nintendo. Well, I don't know if you can use Nintendo as the same examples because you can't really build up libraries on Nintendo. But like in terms of like the Xbox and PlayStation, that is the argument. And again, we've not seen a shift there. To be honest, like there's not been a significant shift in terms of console players being more open to these sort of ecosystems that you're talking about. And so when you say that, why would people stay there? People stay there because it's what they know.
It's what they know. So okay, the fact that
And it's 1,000. I'll tell you, for me, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I don't think it's gonna work is just it's too expensive. If it was at a lower cost of barrier of entry, maybe you would have a better idea of this taking off. But it's too expensive for Gen Zs anyway.
No. I agree there, and that's why I kind of put a time limit like as to why or when. But one thing I say about the whole, what Phil Spencer said about people staying on the ecosystem. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
I disagree with that statement. I think Phil Spencer's full of shit.
So you think people are willing to move over to a different platform even though they
Yes.
have like their ecosystem? Because you're willing to move over to Steam.
Yep. The only to me, the only differentiator when it comes to whether or not an ecosystem is good enough is the quality of the games. If your platform has that's number one. Number two is how easy or how accessible is that ecosystem in terms of like for day-to-day use. Do you feel that it's an ecosystem that makes your life easier, better, you do things faster, you access your games in a more seamless way, it has better sales? Like, how is the in-store experience? It's the in-store experience, the quality of the games, those two things take priority. And then maybe after that, it's the hardware features. So yes, to me, those are the only negotiators. No one is tied down to libraries, dude. You have a PS4. You don't have to get a PS5 to play PS4 games. Is it more convenient to play your PS4 games on PS5? Absolutely. Faster loading times, probably some graphical upgrades. But bottom line is that you can still get a PS4 and have an Xbox. That's what I have. I've got a PS4 and I've got an Xbox Series X. I don't feel like I'm missing out on any experiences from that generation.
So I think something else I'll add here is that while I do think I agree to some extent that people are willing to pivot and move, I think stats might show that like, a lot of people are still playing games that could be played on like the previous console. So let's say PS4 and Xbox One. And I wouldn't be surprised if people are still playing the older library of games. So if you have a new console, you can't really do that. So I'm not saying it's a significant number, but I think there's a large portion, a decent portion of people who are willing, who do want to migrate to the next platform, because it's your trophies, it's your friends list, it's all these things that you're probably, it's the ecosystem that you're tied into, right? So I think that does play a role. However, people will be willing to, buy a console or whatever to play a specific new kind of game. So I'm not denying that. Like, that could be a Baldur's Gate, that could be a Call of Duty, or it could be a Battlefield, or whatever you want to call it. However, when a hybrid device like comes out, I do think you can see a shift in people, willing to make that line, especially when in their mind they have multiple ecosystems that they can that they can access. Like what device is better? A device that just plays Netflix TV shows, or a device that can play Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO, WB, all these things. It's going to be the diverse option. And I think we need to look at it a little bit. Yeah, in terms of practicality, I think we need to look at it a little bit this way. We kind of move towards the technology, but there are some points the convenience is what takes over. So look at things like the reason why Netflix and subscription services became popular is because of the convenience. The reason why Spotify became popular is because of the convenience. At what point does it become just convenient to buy one game and have access to it on multiple different devices? And I think that's where the market is going to be moving towards to, or at least that's where the younger markets are moving towards to. So Sony can try to keep Ushers and the other guys happy, but that's not gonna work. I think they know that too as well, because that's why they started putting their games on PC. They're probably looking for maybe cross entitlements. We've seen some of those rumors, and we've seen them focus on cloud as well, because they know that they need to meet. It's not really about, if your strategy is to make consumers meet you, you're in a losing position. However, if your strategy is to meet the consumer, you're always going to be better off.
Okay, but like the main difference though when it comes to the sort of leap that you're talking about is, again, it just comes down to barrier of entry. And again, in a long enough timeline, maybe when that barrier of entry becomes less, then that's the progression that people will make
True.
naturally. But by that time, I think Sony will also have their whole thing on some sort of like a software based ecosystem if they ever migrate to that direction. But I think for now it's still going to be a very niche thing, and I don't even see it doing as well as, say, the Series X and S for Microsoft when it does release. I just, especially considering the price point, I think it's going to be a little bit of a hard sell for most people.
Oh no,
especially
this is
when,
for sure. If you're talking about like the console guys market, and like I told you, I was talking to a guy about this, and I just found it interesting that like he was so focused on the console guys, and I was like, what about the PC guys? What about the guys who like the idea of an open ecosystem? But like, let's focus on the PC guys. What about the guys who may have pre-built PCs? And I asked him straight up, I'm like, do you have a PC? He's like, I had one back in the days. I was like, okay, so if this device came out and it was a pre-built PC and it had the right specs, would you not buy it? And the funny thing is, like, I've done this test with you as well. Like, they would buy it because the device itself is what, like, it suits their needs, like whatever needs that is. And I'm like, okay, but they'll say the Steam Deck. I'm like, yeah, but why? If you don't say you use the Steam Deck because you trust Valve, sure, but we all know that device is that powerful. I was like, why would you get it's so simple. Why would you get a current gen device? You have a PS5, you have an Xbox Series X, you have a mid-tier PC. Why would you get a Steam machine? It's not a next gen device. It's current gen. Where would you put it? Besides your Xbox? Besides your PlayStation? And what games would you play on it? You know what I mean? There's just all these questions. I'm just confused. And then it's like, yeah, but like you would get a Steam machine too, probably, which is going to be what the Series hybrid is going to be.
Look, the Steam question will be answered sooner than later. We're going to find out how the whole Steam thing is going to play out first quarter this year. So that question will be answered sooner than the Xbox question. The Xbox question to me just comes down to just all the fundamentals. Like, look, there's going to be a PC audience, but that PC audience is still more likely to rather build their own PCs than get an Xbox pre-built PC. Simply because PC people don't really, again, to your point, is a lot of the PC people that are willing to spend that kind of money is the same people that would be willing to spend, in theory, on a Lamborghini or a Ferrari at that high price. Because the key thing when it comes to the price, a lot of it has to do with also things like, well, can I customize it? Can I have it have this that the others don't have, and all that type of stuff? Like, I want a specific graphics card, I want this type of memory, I want the chassis to look like this. So a lot of them they're not a lot of that high-end market that's 1,000 and above, or 1,001 to 1,005, they would rather have a custom solution than an Xbox solution.
Well, here's a question to you on that. Yeah, do you think more PC players are building PCs or buying pre-built PCs?
The majority are probably buying pre-built PCs, but that's not the market that you're talking about. You're talking about the same people that are more likely to buy a what do you call this? You're talking about the people that are more likely to buy a Steam Deck.
No, why?
Sorry?
Why is that the market I'm talking about? No, it's not.
Because of affordability, just cost-wise. A lot of the people that are buying pre-built, it's below 1,000.
No, it's not.
Really?
I wouldn't think so. The reason why pre-builds do so well, I mean, I'm guessing here. I don't have data on this. You could look this up. Raichi, you tell us how many people are pre-builds is probably selling more than people building their own PCs. But like, are people who are building PCs exclusively only going for like high end, and the people who are pre-building PCs go for less than 1,000? Because I would say this: my PC is pre-built. It costs 2K.
I just think a lot of people that are paying 2K plus for PCs would rather build their own PC.
No. I think the reason why this is happening is because nobody likes build. Everyone likes building things. They like putting things together. They just want something that they can plug and play.
But like, you have to understand what I mean by building their PCs. I mean, they're going onto like a site, like for instance, is it Newegg or any of those sites, and then they are selecting, I want this component, I want this component, I want this component, and then they say build, and then the actual factory builds it for you and then ships it to you. That's what I mean by building PC. That means that you choose your own components. You don't get one from HP. You choose your own chassis. So that's what I mean by, if you're going to be spending 1,000 and above, I would think that you are customizing, not that you're going to order the parts and build it yourself. The assembly can happen at the store. You just choose which parts you want for your build.
So I don't know if you've probably heard of Alienware, and I think they do pre-built large PCs, and I think those sell pretty well. Like, I think people are not actually looking to all build PCs. They just want a powerful device. And normally, if you're like, for example, my PC is a 4070. I asked my friend, like, yo, is this good? And he's like, yeah, it has good RAM, it has good this, it has good that. And I think most people are just looking for that. They're looking, if you're looking, like, this is why I think Xbox should do like a tier system. Maybe release 2 Xboxes, like a Series S version and a Series X version. And I think as long as the Series X version is covering high-end gaming, I think most people will be happy with that.
So this is exactly. So there, I think Rachel just answered your question, né?
Mm-hmm.
So Rachel basically says that a lot of people all are buying pre-built with 3050s and 4060s from Costco and Walmart.
But Rachel, how much are those PCs? Are they less than 1K? That's number one.
Yes, definitely.
And number two, is that the majority of the market?
Yes. Well, the Steam market is the majority, is the 3050 and the 4060.
What I'm saying, like, if the majority of the market is 3050s and 4060, then that's the market that an Xbox hybrid should go for.
But like, I mean, we've talked about this. This is the market that Steam is targeting, because on Steam's hardware survey, these are the graphics cards that are the most used.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So if these are the graphic cards that are most used, it means that people are buying builds, like, people are probably buying PCs between same price that Steam is aiming for, that 750 to say about, let's say 900 or 999. That is, or 950. That's where most people are. Because if you look at like what Rich is saying here about the 3050 and the 4060, those are entry-level cards. If you build a PC with a 3050 or a 4060, you're looking at under 1,000 US easily. You're looking at about just below 750.
Okay, fair enough. I need to kind of consider that then.
Yeah, that's the only thing I say, is that like the audience that they're targeting, they have so much money that they want everything custom made. They're not in a position where they have to take a pre-built thing. And again, custom, understand what I'm saying with custom. I don't mean that you're gonna put it together yourself. The store's gonna do it.
I did check up, like, because like, even though those numbers are there, I did look into like, just there, like, because to me the pre-built even the high-end PC market, I wouldn't be surprised if it was pre-built. So I did a quick Google, and it says that, like, even in the high-end markets, like Alienware and stuff like that, people are buying pre-built PCs. They're not really building it. Building is actually a very niche thing to do. Because
buying,
I
what
built
do they mean?
mine.
They mean, yeah.
Like, I sorry, I didn't build mine. I bought mine, and I know like 2 or 3 guys who who built theirs, but I also know like 5 guys who bought theirs. Like, I don't have time to build. I don't care about building. I just want a device that can
But
play
that's what I'm saying
proper
to you.
games.
Tai, if it's you clicking boxes on a website to say I want this graphics card, I want this case with these RBG lights, that's not really building, but that's how people said that. But that's not a pre-build. That's you putting together your own rig versus you ordering those same components and doing it yourself. They give you a choice. Do you want to assemble it yourself, or do you want it to be assembled at the factory? You just choose the parts.
You wouldn't consider that pre-built? Just checking.
If you chose the parts and no pre-built means that it has it's an Alienware. It's a what is it? A Strix, Rogue, whatever. It's that's how it comes. Like you can change maybe one or two components in terms of like when you ordering it, but everything else is as is. You can't change the chassis.
Okay, no, I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
But anyways, I don't think we're disagreeing with like in regards to that with a lot. I think we're largely in agreement. For me, I just think like price is still gonna be a barrier for them, but that's not gonna be this year. I think we can. And with the delays, when do you see this console coming out with the hardware, with all the challenges that we have currently in the RAM market and everything else? When do you see this coming out?
Sorry, I'm just looking up some more details here. It said that like the best pre-built PCs, are like in terms of sales, not like the strongest, are the ones that sell between 1,000 and 1.5K. Those are the ones that sell the best in Costco and all these other places. So even at that, it's not even the ones that are 700. People are spending around 1K to 1.5K. And I always said that like if Microsoft was to target this area right here, these pre-builds, they'll probably catch that market because they should be able to go off economies of scale and undercut some of these guys. So if the MSI Codex Z2 series, which is one of the best selling pre-built PCs, if that ends up being if that's 1.2K and Xbox comes with a device that is 1K or so, then I think that market should be up for grabs. Because I said it before, PC players or PC guys, they're not loyal to some company called MSI Codex Z2 per se. It's not. They might be loyal to Steam, but they're not loyal to like the manufacturer. They care about the OS. So wherever you can get the cheapest parts, they'll go to it. So I think that should be what they should be target. And even on the high end side of things, I mean, I don't think the high end is gonna. I don't think Xbox not gonna target the high end because the high end is actually like 3K to 5K. I don't think the series hybrid is gonna ever even come close to that. So I guess what they're really targeting is the mid range PCs from 1K to 1.5.
So how many of these things do you think they want to sell? Let's say first year.
I don't even know. I think lifetime. I had it around like maybe 5 to 10 million lifetime.
Yeah. See, this is why I say like, I agree with you. That's a reasonable, and that will be not because of the PC part, but because of the Xbox part, because of all the Xbox guys that want, or to your point, will buy anything that has an Xbox logo on it. That's the people that will probably get it. That's what I see lifetime as well. And how many? So if the PS6 is what they say it is, how many units do you see it selling lifetime when it does
PS6?
eventually come out? Yeah. Do you think? Actually, don't even give me a number. Tell me, do you think it'll sell better than the PS5?
Oh wow, that's a tough one.
Or let me put it like this: how close do you see them being, the PS5 and the PS6, in terms of sales? Do you see there being a 10% difference in favor of one or another? 15%, 20%?
I think the PS6 should, in theory, rise. Well, actually, no, it's a tricky one, right? So here's the reason why I think it's tricky. I would have said that the Xbox consumers would have migrated to the PlayStation. Yeah. So that's going to increase Sony's share in the console market space. However, those guys will actually migrate to the PS5 probably, and maybe not the PS6. And because some of the Xbox players are going to migrate towards PC anyway, Sony probably isn't going to get as much large of a share via the PS6 than the PS5. I just don't know if a lot of them are going to actually migrate towards the PS6 because this gen is kind of gone on a little bit long. This gen is like about 5 years in now. So they should start migrating. But with GTA also coming out, that's a wild card because some of them with the Xbox One might just say, okay, you know what, I'm going to upgrade to the PS5 now. It's not on PS6, right? So I haven't factored that in. I don't know how much GTA is going to like mitigate that. So I actually couldn't tell you. PS5 will do well. PS6 will, don't know. I don't know if it'll do better, but I'd say we'll probably do around the same numbers.
I had a follow-up question and I got distracted by this GTA 6 clip here at the back. That's a brilliant card, Richie, the 1070 Ti. It's one of the legends, and it's quite a seasoned card. Mine is not. Mine's a little bit like I'm rocking a RTX 3060 Ti. Also about like a 5-year-old card, but I can still play everything at high settings, 4040p medium. So, okay. I wanted to ask you a question before I lost my train of thought, and it was specifically about the PS6. Oh yes. So probably this is the one that's gonna take us home. So Ty, if the RAM shortage and all the challenges in the hardware market, including the likes of Nvidia and AMD having all these sort of like renewed focus and attention on AI and resourcing AI, what happens if the earliest that the next Xbox can ship is 2029, late 2028, 2029?
It's not good because now you just have pretty much a dead console out there that you're not marketing. You've pulled the plug on. The sales are just going to keep flopping because obviously, as we know, no one's going to be buying a console. You do have some mileage in the fact that you can still have Fable, you still have these games coming out for the device. So it's not like it's an entirely dead device. FIFA, Call of Duty, Game Pass is still there, Play Anywhere is still there. So there is mileage you can get from the device. The only problem is you're not being as effective as you should be because Sony is still undercutting you with numbers. Sony still has their exclusive titles. They have the marketing push, so things ain't really going well for you at this point in time. It will be bad for them for sure. They need this gen to end now, like done, finished, terminated, and they need to kick off right now. If they could start this next gen right here, right now, they should. But anything that goes beyond 2028 and 2029, I think that's just a very bad look. Terrible, actually, because also there's nothing really to look forward to. It's a lot less exciting. The hybrid thing is good, but from a marketing point of view, it doesn't, bold as well as exclusive games, right? From a marketing point of view. So no, I think it'll be a bit I would say a disaster, but just a very bad look. And I'm sure they'll be extremely irritated.
Okay, so if you are Xbox and given like it's completely out of your control, because this is what Nvidia says, this is what AMD says, and it can only come in 2029, what the freaking hell do you do with the Series X and S? What do you do with your console this currently up until 2029?
Nothing.
How do you keep that? So do you just let that segmentation die?
Well, I think you keep advertising Play Anywhere, and you keep advertising every single thing that Xbox has to offer, and I think you keep building on your OS, and you keep restructuring your your Bethesdas, your ABKs. You get Tim to really look towards at the Xbox first party studios as well. So you're doing everything in the background still, like nothing stops. The console is the problem though, and I think that the console probably becomes Xbox's, I don't, not the worst selling console, because that's the original Xbox, but if it further goes into obscurity,
Yeah.
you can't reduce the price because there's just no point of that at this point. So you keep taking these losses in terms of console sales, but the truth is you're not really losing anything because the console itself isn't sold at a loss, and if it's sold at a cost, well then you're making money at that point, right? From a console mindshare point of view, you're done. And you know what might even sound crazy? There might be a level of more excitement if, put it this way, the Series X and S are still decent consoles, and so is the PS5.
Well, the Series X is.
No, all of them, right? Because we haven't experienced the current gen consoles to the max capacity. Every game we're playing now still feels like it could have came out last year. So if the consoles are delayed until 2029, it doesn't matter who you are. The idea of a new Xbox device or a PlayStation device coming out is going to make you somewhat happy because you're tired of using the same old school console. You want that excitement. So I would actually say that the impact of a hybrid coming out in 2029 will actually probably play better from a marketing perspective because there's more of a reason to get it. Right now, if the hybrid came out right now, I don't really have a reason to get it because I know for a fact Fable is still going to be on the Series X. Call of Duty is still going to be on the Series X. All this is not going to be on the Series X. And I might be getting more frames, but like I expect Fable to give me 60 frames at some point. I know they can do it. They're just going to be probably lazy to do it, right? So I'm still expecting the same games with the same more or less frames, or even maybe slightly better frames. But now I'm playing 1K just to get like an extra 30 frames, whatever it is. Not really. However, if I'm paying 1K in 2029 to get vastly better graphics and to get 120 frames, then that just makes a whole lot more sense to me. So while it does suck in the moment, I do think from a marketing point of view, consumers are going to warm up to it more.
Okay. I do agree with you to a certain extent, but my problem is like this is all we've seen this before. The thing is with the console market, it's so mature that the patterns tend to repeat themselves. I'll give you an example. This is exactly the same thing that happened with Sega. They had to discontinue the Saturn, and then but while the generation is going on, they literally had to spend about 2 to 3 years with no console. And that hurt the Dreamcast in the long run because it just did not have the same positioning in the market by the time it came out. It was too little too late.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that they need to do something to keep the momentum up, to compete with the Pro and the 5, the base 5 or the Slim, on some level, to just keep some audience captivated. If it happens that they have to push this thing to 2029. Because that's the worst case scenario for them. Chances are Sony will probably launch before them if we're looking at 2029.
No. So I think what's going to happen is now, can they keep their current audience captivated? I mean, they don't have exclusives, so I think there's nothing to really do here. The audience that they can keep captivated is not necessarily Ushers. It's not some of these Xbox hardcore guys who they already got. You guys left because they had no exclusives. You guys are done.
Correct.
The question is, can you keep someone like me captivated? And you can do that by still having Game Pass, xCloud, and Play Anywhere. Like I know people who actually don't rock with Xbox anymore because they're not exclusive. However, one thing they do say is that if I see Play Anywhere, I buy it on Xbox instead because I like that feature a lot. So I think they keep pushing Play Anywhere, they keep pushing Cloud, They keep releasing, games on Game Pass to make the value proposition of Game Pass attractive. Listen, I'm actually interested in the finances of Game Pass because I was watching Brad Smith's show, and he said, like, because they increased the price of Game Pass, and they kind of fight some people. He actually said, like, he's not too sure if they might actually turn a profit. Like, sorry, not profit, but like they might actually have higher revenue. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because then he said that, like, I mean, obviously in Microsoft's mind, we've increased the price of this a number, and we've done it because we predict that the people will leave, but the price increase will cover that and some more. Therefore, we're making more money overall. That's obviously their plan. And I was really interested to know, like, if that actually panned out the way that they wanted it to pan out. And we're going to find out probably soon. But I think what's going to be interesting now is that when you have the Forza, the Halo, the Gears, and the 70 plus games that they talked about coming next year, is that not motivation enough for you to stay within the ecosystem, especially if a vast majority of them are play anywhere? Because remember, they've lost you. The question is someone like me who's still in the ecosystem, am I still engaged? And the answer is, if the Game Pass is still there and the Play Anywhere is still there, I am engaged.
Okay.
I'm engaged enough
Hopefully
until
they have more
the hybrid.
Yeah. Hopefully they have more players like you then for their survival.
Well, I wonder who's more, the ones who came for the exclusives, or the one who are, a bit open-minded like me, who likes the Game Pass and all this other stuff. I guess we'll find out soon enough.
We will definitely. Well, no, I don't think it's gonna be soon. I really think that these hardware, because I've been keeping a close eye on what no one is telling you is that the PC market is literally falling apart. And the reason it's falling apart is because all the guys that make all the critical components, NVIDIA, companies like Crucial, AMD, all of them are moving towards AI. They're saying whereas before 75 to 85% of their entire business was built on selling components to gamers, now it's going to be dedicated to AI. And the danger there is that you are no longer a priority if you're a PC gamer. So don't expect better graphics cards beyond AI improvements. Don't expect better memory components or cheaper components for memory. So that is where the risk is for the PC market. I know you hear a lot of people saying PC is the best. PC in theory is the best because you can still build your own, PC based on your own components that you buy anywhere you want on the internet. The problem is that the future of PC gaming is even more bleaker than console gaming, because NVIDIA doesn't need you as a gamer anymore. AMD doesn't need you as a gamer anymore. Whereas console manufacturers still do. All the guys that make PC components don't care for PC gamers, and they're making decisions where they're doubling down their investment to the point that NVIDIA. There was a story earlier on where NVIDIA said that they were going to cut down the number of graphics or the amount of their resources that are going to be spent on graphics cards for gaming, and they're going to reroute that to the huge amount that they already invested or into AI. So if the AI trend continues, I promise you console gaming is going to be even more dominant in the next couple of years, simply because of the fact that it's the component manufacturers, not the gamers. To build a PC in the future.
But wouldn't AMD be as well involved in this?
Yes.
So console will also be affected as well?
No. How they remember with console, they do, like, for instance, it's that whole bulk order type of thing where, Sony says we want 5 million of these, right? And then they pay, or they have a contract with AMD to produce those. Whereas with PC, AMD has to produce those themselves based on their, what their estimated, market is. So now, if all your money is coming from AI, why are you putting, as AMD, why are you putting effort into producing more graphics card for gamers if it's not going to make you as much money? Whereas when you produce for Microsoft, you're not producing for gamers, you're producing for Microsoft. Same with Sony. They're paying you a set amount and then you make them the components. Am I making sense?
Yeah, but then, yeah, but would you not say that, like, if Xbox then turns around and says, yeah, but that chipset for AMD, the Magnus one, this now becomes the cheapest way to buy a PC that has the same level of performance because it's a pre-built version and we're doing economies of scale, something that Sony doing. Even Steam can avail of this as well. Would that not make these pre-built PCs like Steam Machine and Xbox Magnus, would that not make it more attractive as well?
Correct. Yes. But again, those are not conventional PCs. You understand what I'm saying? Because you can't bulk order for a pre-built. You understand? Like that is still like for instance with the Steam Machine, right? That board is still going to be unique. It's not 100% what you can build for yourself on a PC. You can't get that component individually and make your own Steam Machine like that. So the same thing that's going to be applicable with Xbox. If Xbox has a deal with AMD, it's going to be a very specific type of chipset. The technology is going to be based on their PC technology, but the chipset is going to be very unique to the Magnus, for instance, meaning that they can make that will be based on their, as you said, economies of scale. Xbox wants 20 million of these. We have a deal with them. We sell them to Xbox. So you are absolutely right. So the machines like the Steam Machine and the Xbox Hybrid potentially will thrive in that environment versus normal PCs. Anyone that buys individual components for PCs is going to suffer, basically. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So it seems like, I don't know, maybe the pre-built PC market is even gonna be doing better. That's an interesting take.
No, but not the pre-built, because pre-built still means that the components can still be interchangeable. It's the guys that buy in bulk. You understand what I'm saying? If you're still buying individual components like graphics cards, they still need to be assembled. That is all going to suffer, in my opinion, based on what's happening now and the pricing. Because it's gonna be just to get a pre-build made, Tai, is gonna start you at about 2,000. Because of how expensive those components are gonna become. It's gonna be just like during the crypto mining when you had all those shortages. That's basically what's going to happen thanks to AI, because everything is being rerouted to AI.
That's something I didn't factor, actually. I think it's actually a good point. I need to probably think more about.
We don't know what's going to, like, the thing is.
So wait, I guess my question is, like, let's say this trend does continue on. And obviously you have a PC already. Do you go back to console, or are you like, nah, I'm stuck on PC? Because I guess my question is that the prices might increase, but I wonder if the PC gamers are just going to like bite the bullets.
At 4,000, like as I said to you, 1,000 plus is already a huge stretch for most people.
Didn't somebody say like how much is RAM supposed to increase by?
I don't know the exact figure.
And I think Destin said something about like, oh, he bought something for like 1K and now it's 4K all of a sudden.
I had a similar situation where I bought RAM for the equivalent of what you would call in American dollars $60, and then when I tried to buy, or when I checked the price for similar RAM recently, it was twice that. It was $120.
Okay.
So it is quite significant. So if anyone that's making bulk things made in bulk, where it's individual, where you have to pay Nvidia or you have to pay AMD to produce that, whatever it is, whether it's for your, if anyone else is doing something like a Steam Machine, an Xbox Hybrid, a PS6, or a Switch, those are fine. Yes, they're gonna have to increase their prices as well, because Nvidia is going to probably charge them more, or AMD is gonna charge them more. However, it's still not going to be as expensive as buying individual components to build, like, for instance, a pre-built PC.
Yeah. So basically, if you want to get into PC gaming, get into it. Like you want to get into like buying your own parts right now.
100%. Start as soon as possible. If you already have one and you just need to buy one or two components, do that. But the future is not as bright as a lot of people I hear them saying in terms of like PC gaming. A lot of like in the community, there's a lot of PC is still the best. Not for very long. For now, maybe, but I don't see it lasting for very long.
Okay. Next,
so that's something
a question on that. Then, do you anticipate the growth of cloud gaming as a result of this?
That's a good question. The thing is, I don't. Let me be honest. I don't know much about that market segmentation to give an informed answer. Like, I don't know how much, like, for instance, GeForce Now has grown versus xCloud versus whoever offers those services. And I've not been keeping a very close eye on that segmentation. But yes, probably there is going to be significant growth there, especially from people using devices like cell phones and other mobile devices. Definitely iPads. Those are going to significantly push up cloud gaming. And with AI, actually, this is the answer. If you factor AI in there, then definitely, because AI is going to make that you being able to stream all those games so much more efficient with less latency, and the pricing just has to be right. So yes, actually, so I do see it increasing.
I think Jez said something that was kind of interesting. I can't really remember to it, but he said something like he hinted at like the margins on cloud or Microsoft for the cloud is actually better than the console margins. And I think what he was trying to say here is that like because those discs or those sets are online, they can be interchanged with actually being used for like Azure. So it's like a double whammy. You can use it for gaming and you can use it for like cloud servers as well, which is what Microsoft does with Azure. So for them, it's like, oh, this is actually a good deal. So I like I wonder if this is their play long term. Like, hey, listen, we're kind of bulletproof ourselves, and we're going to see how the future plays out. If RAM prices go up and cloud becomes important, boom, we're ready to kind of take advantage of that. We're not going to take over advantage of console, but hey, if the hybrid thing kind of PC pre-builds goes off, then we're ready to take advantage of that. And if none of that works, well, fuck it, we have our games on every single platform anyway, so we're winning at the end of the day. And it's Sony and Nintendo that has to worry about building these expensive hardwares and potentially like reducing the cost because they are relying on selling massive amounts of them, as opposed to us.
Yeah, no, like it's still early days to call it. I just, another thing is like cloud is not really for me now anyway. So again, I'm very biased when I give answers when it comes to that because I'm a hardware guy. I believe in hardware, and in a fixed experience, like whether it's on your PC or your console. And I still think there's a huge market for that, and there's a lot of people that are still willing to pay for that experience more than a cloud experience. So in the future, is everything going that direction? Absolutely. I think maybe beyond 2035 is where you start to see a much more significant push, not too dissimilar to, like, for instance, how we went from physical to digital copies of things. It will not be an overnight thing. It will gradually just happen where you start to have all your experiences on some sort of a service versus on a hardware platform.
Okay, I got you.
So one last story, unless of course you still want to add to this topic.
Well, I have two questions for you. One of them is a short one, and the other one is a bigger one, so you can maybe not answer that if you don't want to. The short one is, I asked Rachie, do you think that from a Game Pass perspective, more people left than revenue came in? And Rachie said, I think people stacked but I do see people downgrade it to premium. So I'm guessing what he's trying to say is that overall, people left Ultimate, but a large portion of them enough stayed, and another portion of them were downgraded to premium. So Xbox was still getting money from these guys. So I think what he's saying is that like overall, there's more. Wait, now he's saying no, Ty, gamers don't have a backbone. Okay, I don't know what he was trying to say. I thought what he was trying to say is that like there's actually more money, like Game Pass or Xbox is making more money from Game Pass than they were before the price hike. So my question to you, Ushers, is: do you think they're making more money from Game Pass than they were before the price hike?
Probably more.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I mean, to me that just makes sense. I don't think enough. Like, there's a lot of people. I think there's a significant amount of people that cancel, but the upside. I mean, like these guys are not just throwing stones, and it might look like it because how poorly run Xbox looks, but they did the numbers and they know very well that they were going to make more money. Otherwise, they would have never made such a decision. Because it's you're literally drawing a line in the sand, and saying, yeah, we're on this side. So definitely more money.
Okay. That's it. The next question is a bit bigger. It's a lot more thoughts. 2026 is going to be, I think everyone knows, it's going to be Xbox's year. What do you think they can do apart from, bringing exclusive games back to draw a large portion, or to convince the people like me who are still in the ecosystem that the games you're going to get are going to be amazing, and we have listened to your feedback in terms of changes you want and you want to do, what part of the markets you think they can target? Do they show off the pre-built PC? Do they tell people that, hey, we've hired a new games director or games overseer to see all of our games? Hey, we have a better quality control now. Like what do they say and what do they show and what do they do to kind of make fans overall and everyone be like, oh damn, I think they're changing?
Very simple, Diane. It's not even going to be a long answer. Show, don't tell. We don't want to hear from you anymore. We don't want to hear from Sarah Bond about like the 10 million Xboxes that they're working on, from all these devices with AMD. We don't care about your partnerships. We don't care about like what you intend to do in a year or 2 years time. We don't care about your plans. We want to see them. So if you say we have a hybrid console, then let's see the proof of concept. Show us something that this is what we have and this is what we're working on. This is what the hardware might look like or be. This is our gaming strategy going forward. This is what you should expect from their studios, from Xbox Studios, on a consistent basis. And this is our commitment. That's it. Show, don't tell. Stop telling, because the biggest problem with Xbox is too much talking. Bunch of talkers.
Yeah.
Way too many promises that were never necessary in the first place. And again, over communication also means that people even interpret certain things as you are promising them, or you are sort of committing to certain things. Meanwhile, it's all lost in translation. So they need to kick off in when they have that early of the beginning of the year show with a very distinct sort of like, this is what we're about.
Okay.
Full stop.
All right. I think that's fair. Show
And stop showing me spending 20 minutes, 30 minutes on high production produced videos on your 7 out of 10 games. like yes, like like the guys were passionate about the game, but like when it comes out, it's a 7 out of 10. Come on, Xbox. Do better.
Wait, so you want them to stop showing the developer direct?
No, I'm saying don't spend 30 minutes showing off South of Midnight.
Okay, yeah, okay. Like, so the games are not that great.
like when Sony's gonna have spent 30 minutes showing you something, they're gonna be showing you the latest Last of Us or footage from Wolverine, something like when it comes out it's a 92 Metacritic, or they're gonna show you Death Stranding. Don't show me. Don't spend whatchamacallit 30 minutes telling me about the music and the cultural reference of South of Midnight. I'm sorry, but I said this when we were watching the reaction with Lope. I said, "Who is this for?" And I'm sure you still remember that conversation. We watched that whole presentation. I said, "Who is this for?" Which gamer is sitting here right now and say, "Oh, I want to play this. This is a definite day one for me." And again, you could also tell that it's just not a high budget experience that's going to capture most people.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So spend that whole thing, if you have to, showing us Fable and blowing our minds with all the tech, all the unreal shit that you guys did with Fable. Do that.
Okay. So
And it better
gaming
not be
wise,
stuff-
show Fable. We don't want smaller clips. Show it in detail. Show Gears. Show maybe Clockwork. Show
Starfield.
these games. Show Starfield, and have it
You
actually
better
be
have-
good as well.
Yes, you better have something for Starfield.
Do you think they should show something to do with the hybrid?
I think it's way too early. I don't think they have anything. But if they want to talk hardware, stop hinting and show us something. But I think it's too early for that. I don't think they have anything concrete. But if they want to explain the idea for us and sort of like give us a proof of concept, that I would be so happy with that as to how but they won't do that because again they don't want Sony to go steal their idea.
I think Sony couldn't even steal the idea if they wanted to. But how about this year? Do you think like that they can show off the hybrid, but don't show it off in a teaser like trailer like they did for the Series X, but actually have the developers say, this is the hybrid, this is the interface, this is us going to Steam, this is us launching this game, and with the new Xbox application, what you're gonna see is that you're gonna have less resources being used, aka it's improved it by 34%, 40%, and we're gonna keep doing that. So they're actually giving you benchmarks and they're telling you what they're gonna do. They're gonna have partners say like, yeah, it's a pre-built and we're speccing for this. Like, do you want them to give all this information out, or do they just not show anything at all?
Whatever they can is better than nothing, but give us something tangible. But I guarantee you the biggest worry if they show off anything tangible, because of like, if you just look at historically how close these consoles tend to be, and again it's because a lot of the time if you've got AMD making the hardware for you, there's really going to be any differentiation between whatever you can do on your system, Sony can do on theirs. So they're going to be very trepidatious in terms of like what they show off from a interface, all the stuff that you just mentioned, like interface, how it's going to work. Because it's not the hardware that they worried Sony stealing, because Sony and Xbox are both using exactly the same hardware manufacturer. It's the idea of how the thing works. And I'm sure they probably don't want Sony. Huh?
I don't think Sony can take it though. That's the thing. I mean, I think Sony could do something, but I don't like unless Sony wants to do a hybrid, which I doubt. I don't think Sony does anything with that information.
I think Sony will, if, for instance, Sony is, let's say, for instance, knows that you're going to be able to access their games on Steam using this hybrid system, they're going to come up with something similar that gives you similar functionality. Sony will always try and outmatch or match Xbox feature for feature. They've always done that. Even with Game Pass and PS Plus, when they changed it, yes, they couldn't offer you day one, but they could offer you a similar service.
You see, that's where I actually think I disagree here. I don't think Sony has the capability to copy this feature, because this feature goes against everything that it goes against who they are.
What
against
features then?
A hybrid.
Well, I mean, they don't have to do, like, again, this whole hybrid thing is we still need to see a proof of concept. The closest proof of concept we have now is not from Microsoft, it's from Steam. And that is still a PC.
Yeah, but like, I think Yeah, no, fair enough. Like, I can get, I can understand
Yeah.
that. But even at that though,
So
Sony could
I think
never
on a
even do
software
it.
level, no, I think on a
Mhm.
software level, if at any, like, very simple, and this is my only contention here, if at any point it threatens PlayStation and their games, they will try and find a way to circumvent or counter that. Simple as that. They've always done it. That's how they're gonna do it. I don't know. I can't tell you. But if
I
they have, this is
agree.
why.
I agree, yeah, but I think so. The part, like, this is why I found this conversation, like, I thought this kind of like was not even really a checkmate, but it was a situation that Sony doesn't like, but the outcome is also beneficial for them in many ways, right? So if you told Sony right now, they're like, yo, your rival's gonna go towards this kind of hybrid PC like model, they would hate that. But as a result of that happening, they're gonna put all the games on your platform. They're like, wait, so we get Gears and Halo and Starfield 2 and Fable? All these games? I think that's a
No,
conundrum
but
for them. But I think the easy answer is like, yeah, let them go hybrid and we get all these games.
yeah, but like on Sony, Xbox is gonna make those games anyway. They're gonna make PlayStation versions of those games.
No, they are, but but my point is like the hybrid model goes against what they want because as far as they're concerned, everyone's putting their games on their platform. Now, the question is, why would we open up our ecosystem to let Steam and the Xbox? Because think about it, if Sony does a hybrid, technically what they're saying is that like, oh, the Xbox ecosystem is now on our platform. And if Xbox games are play anywhere, that means you could literally buy an Xbox game and then you could play that game on PlayStation via the Xbox ecosystem. So now you don't even have to buy PlayStation games. Sorry, you don't have to buy Xbox games on PlayStation. You could go get it on GOG. You could you could get it on CD
Again,
keys for cheap.
yeah, but like what I'm saying to you is that they're not gonna turn their console into a PC. However, they will find a solution that provides you with similar accessibility. But it's not going to, Sony's going to build it in such a way that it does not either allow you to go out of the Sony ecosystem, or even if they have to go and make a handshake deal or some sort of deal with Steam to say, we want to make sure that the Steam library is available on the PlayStation Store, they will do something like that. All I'm saying to you, like, based on like some of the rumors,
what I'm saying is that like is they can't. And you correct me if I'm wrong, and Rachel, you let me know as well if I'm wrong here. They can't, because as soon as you're saying a Steam game can play on PlayStation, that device is a PC by default. Therefore, what the PC, what's bound to PCs, all the rules that's bound to PCs, aka emulation, Windows, all this kind of stuff, it's there, it's done. So it's a PC.
So let me put it like this. This is how I see them doing it. If they ever had to do something like this, instead of like doing what Xbox did and just make an app that you access through Windows, they will probably just ensure that you can double boot SteamOS on the PlayStation or something like that, to that effect. That is what I see them doing. And again, I'm not just grasping at straws here. I'm just listening at like that one guy and one or two other guys. What's his name? Hip Hop Gamer, who said that he thinks he has it on official word that they are working on some sort of a hybrid console themselves. But again, I can't give you a definitive answer to like how they're gonna do that. All I can say is that they will make sure that they match. If they think it's a threat to their library, they will make sure that they match that. If they don't think it's a threat, like for instance, they say, well, we'll still release our games a year later on whatever system, then it's not a big deal to us. Make your hybrid, then that's that.
The main pushback I have with this is, if somebody says Xbox put in Steam on their device is dumb because Steam's ecosystem is just going to steal your games and steal your consumers. And if Sony believes that, then why the hell would Sony then let Steam on their platform so they can steal their consumers? Because remember, Xbox can say, "Oh, well, we're gonna put Steam on our platform," and then we can be like, "Oh, Sony wants to get one up on Xbox," but Sony's like, well, no. That's a stupid thing to do because you're gonna lose users. So why would we copy a losing strategy? That doesn't make sense. No, we're keeping Steam away from us, 100%. So if people believe that Xbox is going to lose consumers because Steam is on their platform, then why the hell would Sony isn't dumb? Sony's like, yeah, why the hell would we want to do that too as well? That's a dumb strategy. It doesn't make sense to us at all.
Okay. My counter to you is, does Sony putting their games day and date on Steam threaten their business?
No.
Okay, how?
Okay. It's like, feels like a nuanced answer.
Because my like basically the reason I'm asking is because they're very similar in theory, in the sense that in principle you're doing the same thing. It's either you're directing people, you're saying, you know what, you can access if Steam is your thing, you can access it through my hardware, or alternatively you're saying, well, if PlayStation games are your thing, you can access them through Steam's hardware day one.
Let me flip it this way.
So my belief is this: if at any point in time they're ever going to compromise and put games like Last of Us day and date on PC, then they're also open to other ways to compete with said PC. If they're not open to doing that, then you're absolutely right. They'll never do that.
So I think here's the thing, yeah. Sony and probably thinks that the PC crowd is still quite separate from the console crowd. There's some crossover there, but I think they still believe it's still quite separate. Casuals want consoles, so that's their market base there. The difference here is that, and this is the question, I'll flip it to you. If you took the Xbox, forget Steam, if Sony says, "Oh, let's allow the Xbox ecosystem as an application on our device," does Sony see that as a threat?
The what? The Steam application?
No, the Xbox application.
No, they would never do that. Like Xbox.
Yeah, okay. Now my question is, but why? Why would they let Steam, but not let Xbox?
Because they hate Xbox.
Okay, they hate Xbox.
They like. Okay, let me put it like this: like, how many games do they have on Steam? About
maybe,
like a lot.
That's it, over 10.
Yes, like it's a good. I'm sure it's around 20 in terms of publishing. If you consider games like Stellar Blade, how many games have they published on Xbox?
One.
That answers that. That tells you everything that you need.
But you see, but I think here's the important
Better get
question.
going.
I thought that was you. I was like, gotta get going. Who the hell? Okay, is this Cyberpunk?
Yeah, this is Cyberpunk. This
is
is
the new DLC.
Yeah.
Okay. No. You're looking at it from a very different perspective. You're looking at it from a point of view of like, oh, these are our arch nemesis and our rivals. I'm saying Hiroki Totoki doesn't care about arch rivals. He cares about money. So in his mind, he's saying, from a material point of view, if we drop the Xbox ecosystem on our platform, would that not lose us money regardless? Forget about rivals. Would we lose consumers to the Xbox ecosystem? Because now you can have Game Pass, you have Play Anywhere, and you have all of Xbox games, and you have their sales competing with ours. We might still be the dominant player, but would we lose some revenue due to people looking and exploring the Xbox ecosystem on our platform? If the answer is yes, then the same has to go for Steam. It's all about money. It's not about who's the rival. It's all about money, right?
No, I agree, but again, like, it's a very nuanced and complicated conversation because we don't. None of this has ever happened before. So we have to literally sort of like guess what these companies are going to do in that situation. But
I
in
can
terms of
guess.
money, yes. Well, in terms of money, yes, they are obviously going to try and mitigate anything that's going to lose them money. But there's a lot of, like, for instance, if we talk about, like, let's say we're talking just about money or dollar value. Do you think if Xbox sweetened up the deal with Sony and said, listen, we will give you a cut of X if you allow us to put Game Pass on PlayStation, and then we'll just either make it a tier of PSN or we'll do something. We'll work out something. Do you think
No.
Sony would agree with that?
No,
Why?
they'll never allow a Game Pass on their platform.
Even if they said we'll give you however money, or how much you're making on PSN, we'll double that.
No, they'll never allow it.
Why? But the money is good, Ty. Why would they?
First of all, can you remove this spoiler array? Like, what the hell? Like, what the hell's going on?
Well, you don't want to see this.
No, I don't. No, I don't want to see this shit. Can you freaking? Thank you, thank you.
There's no context to them, but okay. Oh, my bad. I'll put another
You're
clip.
bad indeed. Freaking person starts shape shifting into some demon. Like, okay. As I was saying, they'll never allow it because they think the subscription model literally harms their business model, which is buy to play, and they like the idea of buy to play. I think it was I think it was because you have to remember, right? Sony makes their money from selling you high quality games that you buy full price. This is how they make the money. That's number one. Well, that's one of the ways they make money. Number two, they make their money from you buying third party games. This is the source of their revenue, and live service games, or the microtransactions. When Game Pass came into the picture, there was a quote that this guy said, and I think I would love to bring it up again. But he said something like, "I don't like the idea of Game Pass because in the old model, I advertise the game to you, and as soon as you buy it, you're done. Our transaction is complete. You might play for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. That's not my business. It's done. The problem is with Game Pass, there's all these things that I have to keep you playing. I advertise the game to you, but after 20 minutes, you don't like it no more. So now you leave. You just hurt my bag. I'd rather sell you the game up front and have you cry about how it's shit or it's broken, as opposed to on Game Pass. That can't happen. So developers and publishers, they hate the idea of the subscription service because it takes away a business model that favors them heavily. Right? And Sony loves that. And I think Sony said the same thing with Call of Duty. Like, I think Microsoft, this is one of the reasons why I think Microsoft managed to get a one up on Sony on the FTC. They were able to show that the people out there who buy Call of Duty full price, and these people pay like a couple of hours. Like, imagine you've bought a game for like $70, and then you play for 2 hours, and then you're like, okay, I'm done. Sony doesn't care if you pay for 2 or 3 hours. They're like, yeah, thanks, sucker. You know what I mean? Like, you purchase the game. If you're spending money based on how many hours you're playing that game, the Call of Duty is not worth 2 hours. Call of Duty is not worth $70. It now becomes worth like maybe $15 or $30 or $25. That is a lost revenue for them. They do not want in a world where subscription services is the main player, because it hurts their business model that they prefer, because they make more money from it overall. They will never let a Game Pass Ultimate on their platform, because even if they did and Xbox give them a lot of money, here's what's actually going to happen. I think this is the fear. In 5 to 10 years time, when their Game Pass Xbox PlayStation deal has gone up, Xbox can say, yeah, instead of giving you whatever $1 billion for the 10 years that we did last time, we're not giving you $1 billion, but we're only going to give you $200 million. Sony says, no, screw you, that's too cheap. Xbox says, yeah, but all your consumers now are subscription service people. The idea of buy to play is just weird to them now. They're now like Netflix people. we've used that as a Trojan horse to convert all these players into subscription service players now, into live service, free to play kind of people now, play anyway kind of people. Thanks for allowing us to do this. Now we have the advantage. So Sony will never allow that. As long as they'll always want to be in a position where they can dictate how the market is moving, and they'll like to prevent the market from going in a direction that they're not ready for it to go into. So no, Game Pass will never be on PlayStation. Game Pass Ultimate will never be on PlayStation.
Okay, no, I don't disagree with you, and I agree with you in principle. All I'm saying is that if they have to do something hybrid or some sort of like competitively, if at any point in time Xbox does anything that hurts Sony's bottom line with their hybrid concept or whatever, and again, even if it doesn't hurt, if there's any idea that they can poach from understanding what Xbox is trying to do early and getting like some specs, they will do it. They've done it in the past. They will do it. I do not doubt that they will. They will rip off Xbox wherever they can.
Oh, they will, but I think they will like reluctantly do it in the same way how when Sony decided to decrease the price of the PlayStation 1, the original PlayStation 1, it forced Nintendo and Sega to do things that they didn't want to do, right? So I think Sony will be in that position as well. At some like Nintendo probably hates the idea of using disc-based CDs, right? Because remember, it's easier to pirate, right? The cartridges are better. Unfortunately, the market was saying it is what it is, so Nintendo will force reluctantly to go towards the disc-based way of doing things. I'm sure Nintendo didn't want to, maybe even, who knows, maybe some developers didn't want to go towards the whole 3D way of doing this because 3D games are more expensive to make, or even live service games. But hey, the market was moving that way, so you have to reluctantly participate, unless you get wiped out. So yeah, I do think Sony can and be in the position where they'll reluctantly have to do these things. Game Pass, even subscription services, they didn't want to really focus so much on subscription services, but when Game Pass was doing well, they had to offer some type of alternative to consumers to mitigate the blow of them saying like, yo, we actually think subscription services is the way. Same thing with cloud gaming. They're not crazy about it because, like I said, they want you to buy their console. That's how they make their money. And the problem with applications like cloud gaming and all these like PC stores is that you're not locked into the ecosystem. You can easily download an application and you're done. Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney, HBO, it's all an app away. Whereas with the console that you've spent $600 on, $500 on, you can't just go to Xbox. To go to Xbox, you have to spend $500.
No, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with anything fundamentally that you're saying. It's just one of those situations that's very hard to call or predict because of the fact that like we're really on uncharted territory right here now, and a lot of the stuff that we're going to see in the next 5 years is going to be a lot of firsts as we transition to these new business models, and everything becomes less fixed and more up in the air and cloud and AI. So it is worth keeping an eye on it. But all I can say is that Sony will always remain competitive, especially against the likes of Microsoft, regardless of which games Microsoft decides to bring to Sony's platform. Sony does not care. They still consider and will probably always consider Microsoft an enemy until they make no hardware.
Maybe so, but I think in the same way Sony saw Nintendo as their ultimate enemy at one point, and then eventually they just loosened up because they were like, actually, you guys are going for a different market than us, really. So yeah, I guess that's that. I think with Microsoft, as soon as they saw like, wait, it's a PC hybrid, it's PC. I mean, that's the kind of close to us. Like another example, like I could even ask you this: with Microsoft going towards the PC hybrid, and me and you literally saying like, yeah, it's probably going to be 5 to 10 million copies units sold. Do you not think Sony thinks, actually, we think these Nintendo guys are actually now the problem?
No, like the Nintendo Sony thing is gonna. The moment Sony releases a handheld, then it's on. Then that competition is on between Sony and Nintendo. That is definitely gonna happen. I see that coming. That is the future of the console wars. Is going to be the handheld Sony versus Nintendo's Switch 2 and 3 or whatever the situation is, depending on how well the Switch 2 does and how long it lasts versus Sony's PS5/6 handheld. But again, even if you look at that, there was no reason for them to build a handheld. They did it before, and then they decided, nah, it's not for us. But immediately when when Xbox started talking about handhelds, guess what Sony does? That's exactly what I'm saying to you. Is that there's nothing that Nintendo announced that made them want to go into handhelds again. It's when Xbox said, "Hey, we're thinking about doing a handheld," and guess what Sony does? I'm just saying, like to
I,
me, there's patterns.
No. I do think there's something to that, but I think there is a bigger picture because the thing about Sony is that and this is crazy because when I was arguing with people about the Steam machine and they were like, "Oh, why would they make a Steam machine? The first one failed," and I was just like, "People are so dumb." But anyways, you can always learn from your mistakes, and I think obviously we talked about it in the past that the PS Vita didn't do so well because they made some clear mistakes, right? In the same way, they made some mistakes with the PS3, but the PS3 was still the brand recognizable name, and it did well enough for them to proceed. But with the PS Vita, it was clear that they made some mistakes for sure, but those mistakes could be learned from. And I think it's only because Xbox 360 was such a threat, they had to focus on one device. They couldn't really do multiple things. So let's grab the handheld. Didn't really work out too well. We might revisit it sometime in the past, but right now Xbox is too much of a threat. This was doing the Xbox 360 and then PS3 generation. Now that like that's settled, and they see that Nintendo with the Switch has actually really taken over, especially in Japan, and it's done extremely well in the UK. I think it was the best-selling console in the UK, or it did extremely well, and even in Europe, it's quite clear to everyone now that like the handheld market does exist, especially with the Steam machine. Sorry, with the Steam Deck doing well enough. So if the handheld market exists, the question is, well, why are we living it up? Why are we ceding this ground to Nintendo when the goal is to make more revenue anyway? Right? If you want to make more revenue, then we need to kind of find new places, new consumers, rather than charging us just an extra 30% or giving him, I'm sorry, rather than increasing the game to $80 or 85 or $90, or rather than and putting microtransactions in our game. Well, we need to find those new consumers somewhere else, and there you go. It's in the handheld space. So now let's make that device. And you're right, Xbox was looking at it, and then Sony was obviously like, yeah, okay, we need to do this too as well. So I agree with you overall. I think that's when it's going to get interesting.
But the thing is with the console market is that there's still a lot of evidence based on like the decisions that these companies have made in the past that you can still use to sort of have a feasible sort of understanding as to how they're going to do in the future, the kind of decisions that they potentially make based on just the current evidence we have based on their past decisions or current decisions. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited overall for I think in all honesty, in all truth, in terms of, for me, gaming is better than it's ever been before. And one of the main things is because the fact that like it doesn't matter, Taya, even if we had a crash tomorrow, there are so many games to play, you would never run out of stuff to play.
Yeah, so much
It's
content.
only people that are like chronic, like really, really like they buy everything, they play everything, they finish everything. Those are the only people that will have nothing to play. Even if all that will happen is if you play multiplayer games and you run out of those, then you might consider trying out some new single player games that you've never played. But there's just so many video games in the world, period.
Yeah, agreed.
So one last, so again, we were supposed to close, like this was like at about 2 hours 15 minutes, and I see already over 3 hours again. But it's always I love these chats. It's always good to have Raichi here contribute to the chat as well. So Taya, I think it's time for us to take this home. Guys, for those that don't know, this is a game I highly recommend. In the back, it's called Terminator 2D Fate. It is the long-awaited video game adaptation of Terminator 2. A brilliant game, and I wish we had gotten this game in my childhood. I loved it. I'm almost done. I think I've got like a couple of almost like 1 or 2 levels, then I'm done with the game as well. Brilliant game. So Taya, there's one last talking point I wanted us to discuss, and it's not this game. It's actually this guy here. He was in the news again. This is your favorite. Well, we both like this guy, I suppose.
Yeah. Dope
Cheers,
guy.
cheers, Raichi. Is Raichi saying bye?
I think you thought you were bouncing off.
Oh, no. We're not off yet, Raichi. We have one more, video that I would like us to just discuss. Or actually, just your response or your reaction. So, this is something that I've heard a lot about David Jaffe and similar guys like David Jaffe. And the reason I wanted to bring this story up is because we lost Vince Zampella this past week, né? And I really wanted to do something and just actually I think I want to dedicate an episode at some point in time just going through some of the games that he was responsible for. And I think he's one of the greatest creators. He is probably the most I would say prominent in terms of success. He's made more successful video games in the last decade than any other game designer or game developer or project lead. He's had more success than anyone that you know in the video game business in terms of individual projects. He's had way more success than Kojima does. I mean, this guy was responsible for Apex Legend. He was responsible for the Call of Duty franchise. He was responsible for the recent success that Battlefield just saw. He was tasked with that. He was responsible for the most successful Star Wars single-player series in history, which was Fallen Order and Survivor. And he was also responsible for all of you that still can think as far back as that for the likes of Medal of Honor, the original Medal of Honor on PlayStation. So this guy has earned his stripes in the gaming business, and he's one of the greatest to ever do it. Rest in peace to him and condolences to his family, man. But the reason I wanted to discuss this about Jaffe is so there's been a lot of talk about, like, is Jaffe the father of Kratos? Should he take full credit for the creation of that character? I don't know how you feel about that, Ty. Do you think Jaffe is the sole or is solely responsible for creation and the success of Kratos?
Yeah. Yes, he's a creator,
Okay. So he was responding to someone that basically was discrediting for that, saying basically that his contribution was not as significant as he would like it to be or makes it out to be. And, you know, in typical Jaffe fashion, he had to respond.
Twitter search my name. And a lot of people who want to take the piss out of me act like that's some kind of weakness. I'm like, bitch, if you were as well known as I am, and I ain't that well known, you'd be fucking searching your name too. Because it's interesting. It's fun. I'm curious. Well, you know what? I saw this one today. Cory Barlog, I'm so tired of this narrative. Let me tell you something. Cory Barlog is much more truly the creator of God of War than David Jaffe. But for some reason, they pretend to care about the opinion of someone who worked on at most 2 games in a franchise with several games even before the Norse Saga. Well, I did work on a few more than 2, but that's fair. That's a fair assessment of my contribution. Bitch, motherfucker, there ain't no God of War without me. There ain't no goddamn God of War without me, all right? Cory Barlog, Eric Williams, Derek Daniels, Shannon Studstill, Tim Moss, Ken Feldman, Charlie Wynn, Cecil Kim, Max Ankar. I could go on and on and on. There are many papas to Kratos, but there's only one papa to God of War, and that's me, bitch. Not only did I do God of War, I did Twisted Metal. I also did some goddamn games that weren't so successful, but I still made them. So I'll tell you something. I like Cory Barlog. He's a good fella. And this is not against Cory. This is against this prick here and a bunch of pricks like this that take this on Twitter. But let me explain something to you. When Cory, and Cory probably will, when Cory announces his next game and it becomes a big fucking hit, then you can say Cory has now done what Jaffe's done. Okay? Or at least 1.5 of what Jaffe's done. I put 2 of the biggest goddamn franchises out on PlayStation, and they came to life through the talents and brilliance of a lot of people. But they were conceived and created by my goddamn brain pan. And I'll tell you something. When Corey's new game comes out, it's a big hit. I'm sure it will be. Excellent. Then give him his flowers. But back the fuck up, you little stupid Ignatz Knots whore at the moment. Okay? Because there ain't many people that can do what I did. And there aren't. There's a few. There's a few individuals that have made more than one big franchise, but there ain't a lot. So settle down, whore. I'd say Jaffe's one of the biggest names in gaming. He created God of War, Kratos. You can't fuck with that. You goddamn right. People tend to forget Jaffe could have easily stayed at Santa Monica Studios, sit back, rake in the money, and show up in the credits as executive producer. You goddamn right. I didn't do that because I wanted to make a lot more money, and I was stupid. I could have made a lot more money staying at Sony. And let's be clear, that's not to knock. That's not to knock the work of all these brilliant people that allowed me to express what was in my head and improve it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? But there's a point where I have to call bullshit, and this is that point. It's not a new Jaffe Darth Nugget. I'm tired of all these fucking morons. I could have stayed in the business. I could have kept doing that shit, but to what end? To what end? My last game was not a success. It was a big fucking failure. And I loved it, man. I fucking loved Drawn to Death. I thought it was great. Sometimes you gotta know when it's time to get off the goddamn stage. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that?
What a terrible take. I'm completely on this. No, I'm completely the side of the homie here, man. It's I don't even know why you would even say that. And I think this individual, number one, he's coming from 2 points of view. I think the first part of it is like he probably didn't play the previous games, so probably didn't care about it or like it, right?
Yeah,
that's one.
I agree.
Number two, he's probably looking at it from a point of view like, well, the previous games, yeah, you created them, but they were not that good. But what really took God of War to the next level was the new one. It gave him a character, gave him a voice, it gave him a son, a child, and these were defining moments that changed the core of the game. So the truth is, you might have created the outlining of the character, but you didn't make him who he is today. And his father is his real father. Like, it's kind of like how somebody can say, like, you know, like, who's your father? The guy who your biological father, or the guy who raised you. So that's probably where this jackass is coming from. And I say jackass because Jaffe created Kratos. End of story.
Yeah.
You might like the new iteration of Kratos, but that doesn't mean he didn't create Kratos. He did.
But basically what he's saying, though, is that he made sure that project took off on the ground. He was the guy in charge. He was the creative that, came up with the God of War concept. He says a lot of people contributed to making Kratos, but God of War was his idea. He is the one that birthed that idea. There would be no God of War. And I completely agree with him, is that, yes, a lot of people came along the way and they pitched in and they put in their effort. That's how collaboration works in any company. But that idea would have never existed if he hadn't brought it to life.
100%.
And I completely agree with him.
Just a quick one. Shigeru Miyamoto created Zelda, but in terms of the Tears of the Kingdom, in terms of Breath of the Wild, Twilight Princess, all the latest Zelda games, the last one before 4 or 5, it was Onimusha, I believe that's his name, that made those games. Can he say, no, I'm the one who created Zelda because, all the best-selling Zelda games are mine, right? Not Shigeru. Who created Mario? Shigeru Miyamoto. Who's the one who's developing the new one? It's Shiro Mori. He's the one who created the Galaxy games. Call of Duty. Jason West, Vincent Pella, they created it. You wouldn't say because they only made two or three games and they left. Well, they never created it now. It's somebody else. Like, it's just ridiculous. Same thing for Tekken. Harada was the creator of it. And I think Harada has gone.
Best example, who created Metal Gear Solid?
Kojima.
Who owns it now? Does Kojima have any involvement with it now?
Konami owns it, and I think Kojima actually spoke about this as well. He was the one who was like, "No, they own it. It's like it's them." Like, I was just,
Yeah,
proud of the creator.
he said he would like. He was even asked if he would play the latest remake, and he said no. It's got nothing to do with me. His name is still on it, like his credits are still there, as the the writer, the producer, the director, etc. of the project, because he did that. That's work that he did, but he's not in any shape or form involved with that franchise, and he probably never will be because of how badly that relationship ended with Konami. So it just because same with where like you can say with Jaffe, but you can never take it away from Kojima that there would be no Metal Gear without Metal Gear 1 on SNES, Metal Gear 2. No, not Metal Gear 2. It was it was Metal Gear. Yeah, well, anyways, but like there would never be any of those games up until Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation and the rest of the sequels if it was not for him, if he didn't birth that franchise.
100%.
Yeah. So no, I just wanted to end on that note.
There's so many things like Final Fantasy, Persona, even the game from Sega, Dragon, the cartoon, the one that we were talking about earlier on, Like a Dragon. The guy who created it, he's left. He's created his own new studio, and he's looking at his own new game. Yeah, Yakuza, exactly. Like, I mean, you always be credited as a creator. That doesn't mean that like if somebody else now has the creative direction that they were the original creator. They were the person who's creating the new game. But in terms of the IP, the actual foundation of the IP, no, that was all you, 100%. For sure. I think what you can say like the multiple creators is you can talk about like the people who helped with the with maybe like the gameplay, because you might create a Mario, but were you the one who kind of said, oh, let's have it like this, you come up the ladder. Like these guys are important too as well. But the original creator is the original creator. Like, end of story. Like, what a terrible take. I just feel it's just somebody who just clearly doesn't like Jaffe. That's why.
Yeah, it's someone that doesn't like Jaffe or doesn't consider, to your point, the original trilogy very good. They only like it when Kratos became daddy, and then that's when they sort of like could like finally relate to the game, and that's when it meant something to them. So another thing is Jaffe is just also he's a character. He's a jackass. He's very easy. He's a very he's a very easy guy to not like. If you're very indifferent to his ideas and his opinionated way of expressing himself. But I just thought that would be a nice, light-hearted story to end on, and just the fact that like what he's saying here is very important. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was saying it was good. Like, and another point is like, imagine, well, I don't like the previous Final Fantasy games that were like in 2D and all that kind of stuff. So therefore, I'm only gonna recognize the 3D ones because that's the ones I like, and that's the ones that touched me. Or even differently, I don't like the turn-based Final Fantasy, so I don't care who created it. I'm only gonna rock with the open world ones that's free flowing. It's like, okay, but the creators are the creator. Doesn't matter if there's a change. Yeah. You might like the new iteration better, but the creators are the creator.
Yeah, I still use, and the thing is, I don't even know who created Assassin's Creed. I know it's one of those ladies, Jade. Isn't Jade Raymond one of the original creators of
Assassin's? She was part of it, but actually the guy who created Assassin's Creed, I think he was there for maybe the first and the second one, maybe even the third one, and then he left Ubisoft because he got into a fight with them, and then he got a new studio, and then Ubisoft bought the studio. And he tried to sue them, like, because he's like, I'm trying to escape you motherfuckers. You were so like, nah, you ain't going nowhere. Like, yeah, what game you working on, bro? We're gonna buy your parent company. And Ubisoft was such assholes.
That is really underhanded of Ubisoft. That's very sus. But yeah, so like I don't like that original. The first two games didn't really do anything for me in that series, but I've always said the mythologies ones, the Egypt, Greece, and the Norse ones. Those ones, I love those games, and I think they're the best Assassin's Creed games. And a lot of people disagree, but it doesn't mean that I don't understand why people love those original ones and why those probably resonate with more people than the ones I like.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
it is what it is. That's how fandoms work. Anyways, guys, thank you for joining us. If you're new here or you were here for the first time, like, subscribe. If you pick this video up later, please also like and subscribe. So this is our first episode for 2026. Looking forward to many more. Taya, is there anything that you would like to plug?
No, but starting off with 2026, 2024 has been great gaming wise. 2025 has been dope gaming wise. 2026 is set to be so much better as well. We're gonna get AA great games. We're gonna get AAA great games, dope games. I think we've kind of left the whole kind of video game wokey stuff in the past. I'm sure some of these people will still try to resurrect these kind of discussions. I mean, it's a talking point, and I actually don't mind the talking point really, as long as it doesn't dominate the actual conversation, because they're just so much more important things to. More interesting things to actually talk about. So I don't mind these people talking about what they want to talk about, but as long as the YouTube algorithm isn't pushing them as much and they're not dominating social media. But I haven't been seeing them a lot, and it's not because I don't follow them or because I've hit them from my timeline. I just think people have just kind of overly moved on from it, which is good. Things are going to be really good in 2026. And everyone, get ready for a wild year, especially with the biggest game of the generation launching in GTA. And I think we're gonna see Xbox hit a lot of cylinders. We're gonna see Nintendo do some things as well. Actually, I don't know about Nintendo, but Sony's gonna do well with obviously Wolverine. I expected Sony to do good things. So listen, we don't have to wait too long. We have the Xbox Developer Direct coming in, I think in February or late January, and I feel like that's going to be big. I don't know if it's going to be the best one, but it should be, because as we heard, Forza's going to be there, Gears is going to be there probably, and Fable's going to be there too as well. And as Usher said, don't tell, just show. And I think if they show, I think for them in particular, it's going to be a dope year, and I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you guys too as well.
So, if one last question, between Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and I'll add Steam here to represent PC, who do you think won 2025?
Nintendo.
Okay.
I think the Switch 2 launching, breaking records, Nintendo being able to charge $80 per game. Mario Kart, even though they didn't do the Metacritic numbers, but it sold millions. And Metro Prime launching, it wasn't really a hit, bit of a dud to some aspect. The weakest Prime launch ever, so that's not actually great. But they still they finally launched the game, right? And it was okay. And it's funny because they launched the game, even though it took so many years. No one was talking about how long it took. No one was talking about the finances like they would with Xbox. But they also dropped Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is regarded as one of the best platformers out there, and that sold millions as well. Cyberpunk on your console, so it shows that the console isn't weak. Street Fighter, you're getting third-party support. I think the Switch definitely became the number one console. They definitely won the 2025. I think next place would be Xbox. They might have missed out on things like like Dispatch, but they dropped Avowed, South of Midnight. They dropped Call of Duty. They dropped Grounded 2 as well. They dropped Outer Worlds 2. These aren't games that I'm crazy about, but that's 4 games, and then on Game Pass they dropped Ninja Gaiden as well. So that's a third party work with
great game. I'm busy playing it now.
Yeah, so Xbox did really well this year. I was talking to some guys about this as well, and they said that they did really well, but the only thing that they fucked up was all these people that they fired and games that they cancelled. And I felt like if you want to include that, sure. But I reminded them, I was like, you're gamers though. Remember that. If you want to talk about it from a
Yeah.
maybe business side, I don't see how a company firing employees affects their rating for me. I'm not an employee. I'm a gamer. I'm here to play the games, and I can evaluate the games based on if the game is good or not. So it's like if you drop like right now, Rockstar's dropping GTA, right, which is gonna be one of the biggest games ever. But oh wait, they fired some employees in the UK because there were like some controversies going on there. Okay, well GTA now, I'm gonna give Rockstar a -2 points, so it's gonna be a B. Like, what the hell are we talking about? No, it's not about that. So I think Xbox is second place. Sony is third place, but I think from a, let's say, just business perspective, they did really well numbers wise. I think their margins were up, and they sold pretty well over the Black Friday, I suppose. So that's really good for them. They managed to get the highest amount of cloud streaming games now. Xbox also did India as well, and I think parts of South America. But Sony is going into cloud now, so I think that's really big for them as well. And yeah, I think I would say Nintendo first, Xbox second, and third place will be PlayStation. I don't know how to really evaluate Steam. Like, they don't do anything.
No, like just from PC, in terms of like, do you think that? Because again, like a lot of in some years, for instance, there's very PC specific games that never make it to console.
Oh yeah. I think Steam could have had a bigger shout if they had because I know there's some years where they have some PC centric games that blows up. Maybe it could have been like Unknown Underground or whatever it's called. But like if Arc Raiders was exclusive to PC, that would have been a huge hit for them, right? But it was on all platforms. Battlefield 6 as well, on all platforms. So I don't think PC had a standout exclusive game that did the numbers. So in regards to that, then I think definitely PC came last. Listen, if Valve had dropped Half-Life 3, okay.
I think they'll drop that with the Steam machine.
Yeah, and it'll be funny because it'll be exclusive to the Steam ecosystem. Like, screw you, like exclusives count. Who told you they don't?
But this is how Steam was born, was being a way to deliver Valve's games directly to their clients exclusively. So they've done that before. So let's see what they do.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, Ty, thank you.
Well, hold on. You tell me, who do you think? How do you think?
Oh, actually, did I not say it? My bad. I agree with you on Nintendo. I agree with you on Xbox. I don't agree with you on PlayStation. I think this was PlayStation's worst year in terms of release-wise. The only two games I can remember from PlayStation that came out this year was Ghost of Yotei and Death Stranding.
Death Stranding 2.
Yeah, Death Stranding 2. So not a great year compared to all the other. In fact, I think this is, since the PS5 was released, this was the weakest year. So I disagree there. I think I would say Steam had a lot more exciting announcements in terms of just from a hardware perspective. I'm just trying to think. There's a lot of these PC first. What is it like? A game is very similar to like Arc Raiders. There's another one. And again, I just don't play these games.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are. A lot of them are being made as like by the Chinese and the Korean devs that were very successful. And they are these single player, almost like MMO type games. A lot of those came out this year.
Like The Wind That Blows or something like that. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yes, that's the one. It did very well, and it was exclusive, I believe, to PC. I don't think it's on any other platform.
Not yet, I don't think. Yeah.
So there was a lot of games like that laid on PC that did very well this year as well. And of course, the reason PC will always be exceptional is because it's only because Steam exists that you can get a sequel or a movie-based game from a franchise from 1992 being released in 2025.
Is that the Terminator game you're talking about?
Yeah, Terminator 2D Fate. Yeah.
Okay.
So Steam would be third. That's the only difference. Steam would be third instead of Sony. That would be my list. Yep.
I have I asked you about like what Xbox should do for 2025 that I think would be 2026. You know, like, and
Yeah.
I agree with this hotel. I think show this hybrid console, but don't do what you did with the Series X reveal. Show the hybrid console and show, you know, the games, and show how, like, you know, how much more powerful it's going to be. Show them how, like, you know, you've got rid of Windows in the background, and, you know, just tell people what they want to hear, and show the truth, and show, you know, some of these games being played. Like, show, you know, like being able to go to different ecosystems, maybe talk to Steam about it, talk to Epic, and be like, yo, we're gonna show your platform. And maybe as a, you know, little thing there, you know, you sign into your Steam account, or you don't sign into your Steam account, but maybe Spider-Man 2 is in the, you know, frame, and so is, you know, some other PlayStation games. Heck, maybe you could even boot it up, probably not, but, like, you know, maybe show them there, whatever it is, as a cheeky kind of like, yeah, we got these. From a console perspective, I think that'd be really good to do. And show like the new controller as well, you know, with the haptic feedbacks, whatever it is. And I think maybe even tell people that, like, hey, listen, you know, maybe be upfront that, like, this device is for people who want X, Y, Z. Like everything I've always said to you about, like, you know, the Game Pass players, the people who want this, the people who want that, so blah blah blah. Tell people like this is who it's for. You know, but and then maybe even just say, and for anyone who doesn't want it or whatever it is, you know, you can still find our games on different platforms and ecosystem, but this is what this device is for the people it is. And maybe even have Phil Spencer later on be like, oh no, like, you know, right now it's the industry is very different. We're selling the device at cost, so basically the device runs itself. We know this device is going to be quite expensive, so it's not for everybody for sure, but the device, you know, runs itself, so we don't need to sell it at a loss. So it doesn't need to sell 20 million or 50 million units. The device can exist within its own ecosystem itself, right? I think that's really, really good to say. From a game perspective, I would actually say, you know, maybe introduce us to Tim, and be like, yeah, I'm Tim. I'm the new guy who's in charge of all these, you know, companies and games. Listen, what you could even do is say like, hey, listen, we have so many developers that we're bringing in somebody else to help. Introducing Shu Yoshida, everybody. That'd be great. That'd be fancy football. You know, that'd be sweet as well. Talk about how many games you have in development. Talk about, you know, how, like, you know, yeah, talk about the games you have in development. People might joke about you like, oh, they're going to get canceled them all or whatever it is, but I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about that. But also, keyword here: show off Clockwork gameplay, show off, you know, Fable gameplay, show off Starfield gameplay, show off, you know, Forza, show off as much as you can, to be honest, and show off new stuff as well, new games, not CGI trailers, not, you know, snippets. Show off gameplay of new games coming in the future, and show us what the value of Game Pass will be. And even from a cloud perspective, talk about how, we have new systems in the cloud to make the streaming easier. There's so much that I think they can do. Can they do it all? No, but I think if they were to tick all these boxes, 2026 will be the year of the box. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is their anniversary year. Everybody says this is the year, this is their make or break year. Yeah, so they have everything to prove, man. Like, and again, I'm just talking to a very specific segment of the market. They have a lot to prove to that market in terms of, like, should they still have confidence in their offering for them. But yeah, so let's see what they do. I just think, again, it will be very definitive for them. This is the year where if anyone still has any doubts, this is the year where people are just gonna double down. It's either nope, Xbox is not for me anymore, and yeah, and that we're gonna see that this year.
Agreed.
But anyways, Ty, thank you for joining me, guys. Thanks for being with us on the Oz the Wiz podcast. We're working on a name, and then I want us to maybe by episode 30 we should have a different name for this show. But thank you for joining us. Same time, same place next week. And yeah, the circle is out. Cheers, everyone.
Ciao, guys.